And welcome in. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. Wow, what a weekend indeed. I want to talk about Lindsey Graham. I want to talk about Mitch McConnell. But first, there was a legendary actor who passed away, and I wanted to play a game with Ethan and Brad in studio, just to start off the show real quick. And I think this is a very simple game based on what I know, and the game is called Has Ethan Seen This Movie? Now, before you answer, I want to put the preface here. Sam Neill passed away at the age of 78, a legendary actor, well-loved actor. He was from New Zealand, spent a lot of time in Australia, but he was in perhaps one of the biggest, if not the biggest, film from the 90s called Jurassic Park. Now, before you answer, the question is, has Ethan seen Jurassic Park? Brad, you want to take a guess?
I think Ethan has. That's a cultural icon. It's not like a cult film.
Okay, I think he has not, knowing what I know about the movies Ethan has and has not seen. So, the big question is, Ethan, have you seen Jurassic Park?
There's a massive difference between Spaceballs and Jurassic Park. Yes, I have seen Jurassic Park. I don't live under a rock, Ryan Recker.
Hold on. We've gone through a list of movies you haven't seen, and I thought this would be in line with the historic great movies from before you were born.
This is one of the most, maybe Star Wars and Jurassic Park might be the two highest sold movie franchises ever, right? Is that right?
I mean, you're
Probably?
pretty close.
So
I mean, Avatar kind of now. I hate Avatar,
yeah, but I mean, long-standing more so, I guess I should say, from a historic perspective. Yes, I have seen all of the Jurassic Parks.
Wow,
from
I
the
was
oldest
way
to the
off
newest.
on this one.
Good try, though. Yeah. What do you want to talk about now, Ryan Recker? Huh? What do you have planned for the rest of this segment?
Sam Neill passing away at the age of 78. He was in a lot of movies I forgot that he was in, but part of it is I think everyone goes straight to the Jurassic Park first, and rightfully so. I remember seeing that one in the theater. Was it 94 it came out, or 95, something like that? Ethan, what year were you born in?
I was born in 2000.
Yeah, so it's even before you were born. I remember seeing that. I remember being blown away. They had toys. They had video games. Every Jurassic Park video game was terrible. I don't think they ever made a good one.
Yeah.
Is that the only one that you wanted to ask me about, or is there anything you said? You acted like there was other movies, or was that literally it? I don't know if I know
That
anything.
was the big one.
I don't know if I know much else that he's been in besides. I mean, that's obviously what he's most known for.
Event Horizon he was in.
Yeah.
Nope.
Event Horizon's a big one.
Never heard of it.
Okay. He was in Bicentennial Man. I don't remember his role in that one,
Okay.
though. That was Robin Williams, I mainly remember. He was also in, I guess more recently, the Peaky Blinders.
I haven't
Everyone
watched
seems
Peaky
to love that show.
Blinders.
Really? He was in that?
I've never seen it. Yeah, I don't know what his role was in that either. I've never seen that one. But I think mostly between Event Horizon and the different Jurassic Park movies, there's a few different ones he appeared in. Rest in peace, Sam Neill. And, it seems like over the weekend, a lot of people talking about Lindsey Graham passing away too. Now, that's a big one. And the devastation with the flooding in Missouri, that's a huge story. Mitch McConnell's still in the hospital. There was the plane that was diverted back with President Trump. What's up with that? Leaking it to the media. It seemed like there was a ton of A-list news stories from over the weekend. So many different things to try to cover. There was the UFC fight. Now, Ethan, I know you're doing a sports later. Are you going to talk about the UFC fight?
I wasn't planning on it, so if you wanted to discuss it now, you're welcome to. Unless you want me to.
Big
later.
disappointment.
Yeah, massive disappointment.
So you have perhaps one of the best-known UFC fighters of all time, Conor McGregor, and I try to watch clips online, but they don't like you posting UFC clips. But essentially, he walks out, looks a little weird walking out, gets into the ring, and almost immediately something goes bad with his leg, his knee, something like that.
He was fighting Max Holloway, first fight in 5 years. So this was a well talked about return to the UFC for Conor McGregor, and he immediately goes out and tries to kick Holloway and lands really awkwardly on his knee. And this is like a minute into the fight, if that. It was very quickly in.
Like 10 seconds.
And then and then he, off the restart, like, clearly his knee buckles, and they called it like right there. They were like, "It's done."
Yeah,
it was really weird.
Well, Max Holloway was even saying that, like, before they stopped and reset, he's saying this guy's hurt.
Yeah,
this guy's hurt. And then in the
which is probably why they stopped it so quickly.
In the post-fight press conference, he was like, I didn't want to hurt him in front of his family. It's like, man, I don't know you say that in a press conference.
Yeah, I mean, Conor McGregor did post a picture on his story I saw of his of the X-ray. At least that's what it said. It was him posting that, and his knee is just completely shattered.
Oh, I bet.
Which is unfortunate because there was a lot of people looking forward to that. There was a lot of people that paid a lot of money to watch and probably put a lot of money on that fight. So there was a lot of disappointment over the weekend with that.
Yeah, I know the older I get, the more I feel like that, where even going up the stairs too quickly can mess me up. I messed my back up last week because I used a back massager for too long. And for the past week, my back's been screwed up. That's what it's like getting old. That's what you have to look forward to, Ethan.
Thanks. This has been such a fun segment. I'm just so glad.
Yeah, I know.
Joined you
know, Jurassic Park. Okay, that's all I need from you. God, Jurassic Park. I had to lose my bet there. I thought for sure you wouldn't have seen that one.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that one.
Have you seen Back to the Future?
Yes, I've seen Back to the Future.
Ghostbusters?
Yes.
Forrest Gump?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You've seen a lot more movies than I thought you've seen.
Yeah, how's that feel? I'm walking out on that one.
0 for 3.
Sit on that.
Ethan.
Yeah.
Ethan will be back for sports later in the show, too. And there was just so much that goes on. The story with Mitch McConnell, by the way, Brad, posting the picture from the hospital room. Do you think that's AI?
No,
a lot of people are debating that right now.
I don't think it is.
You don't think so?
No. I do think that he was probably in pretty bad shape, and I do think that they did everything in their power, as far as his press team did, to make that picture look, make him look as good as he could, as far as, let's get him a nice shirt, let's comb his hair, maybe put a little makeup on him so that he looks healthy for that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that the story that they have is a completely plausible story. I just don't understand why it took him so long to say that. It's like, hey, he's got some pneumonia. He's struggling with that right now. That's why he's in the hospital, But
he's been in poor health for a while.
Yeah,
and he should not have. I think him carrying on the job as long as he's been carried on has been a mistake.
Oh,
he should have stepped down a while ago. I think I've seen some things online talking about the AI side of it and people questioning because they said this photo looks familiar, like it was used in the past. I don't know if this was. Some people tried to pin this to an older photo. They tried to zoom in on some of the words that were on the newspaper, and it wasn't adding up, but the picture added up on there. Maybe I'm just looking at too much AI slop and I'm overdoing it, but I feel almost any time someone posts a proof of whatever on social media or in a news article that I almost immediately think, do I have to disprove this first? I almost have to go into my detective mode and find out if it's legitimate or not. And that's just the way that we live today now. I think you almost always have to have your guard up.
Yeah.
And he's there in the hospital room. It looks like he's got some bandages maybe perhaps under where his wrist is. He's there with his wife. He's smiling. Do you think that he's going to give a speech on the floor? I don't even think he has enough health to do anything like that ever again. And some people have been basically saying the only reason he's fighting is so he can vote against the SAVE Act, and then that's like the last thing he'll ever do. Do you think that what motivates him at this point? Because he should have stepped down.
That I don't know. I can never understand that. Like, I remember when Dianne Feinstein they would like wheel her into the Senate floor for a vote. She'd look like, and there was even video of like, it seemed like her assistant was telling her which way to vote on this. We want to vote yes. We want to vote no. I don't understand why a politician wants to stay in that position that long. That seems like an incredibly stressful position to be in. And I don't understand why you wouldn't want to just retire and go spend time with your family.
Yeah, exactly. And to think about all the things that you could have done after the fact, if you would have stepped down just with the rest of your life, And he served, I mean, he has served a long time. And there's already criticisms out there that we have way too old politicians. If you're 84 years old in the hospital and you refuse to step down, even at that point, that goes to show that some people say one term limits is not a bad idea. Okay, I can understand. The other side of it is, should we have an age limit when it comes to serving? Because should an 84-year-old who can't actually physically handle serving still be in office? I don't know. I think we really need to have that conversation.
But here's the thing that here's my problem with both of those age limits and term limits. You have that, and it's not a specific age, and it's not a specific number of terms. You have that if you have an engaged electorate. If the electorate does their jobs and they get engaged, then you don't end up with 84-year-old politicians that are barely functional because your electorate says, nope, this person can't be in that office. We want to elect someone else to do it. But people, I don't want to go on a huge long rant here, but people don't pay attention to politics until the general election, usually during a presidential year. They ignore the primaries. They ignore the off-cycle elections. And you just get these weird low voter turnouts. And then those are the exact same people that are out there complaining about, I don't like the candidates. And it's like, well, how are you getting engaged in doing this? Because this whole system doesn't function correctly. You get what we have if the people don't engage in politics. It's the whole point of our system of government, was to give the people a voice. And people are choosing to just stay silent.
Yeah. I wish, when I hear that, I think, okay, if it was pure, if politics were more pure, then maybe that would be easier. But it's so dirty, and there's so many connections, and people cling on to power and money and everything else that goes with it, that they prop up other people with power and money because they're so afraid they'll lose it too, that it enables things like this to happen. People getting sit in a seat forever. Should we get rid of, let's say, the age limit to run for office then? Let's say, if we're not going to get rid of it on the back end, maybe on the front end, you could be 18 and run for president.
I mean, maybe. I don't know who would vote for an 8. Like, if you had a serious candidate that came out there and they were 18 years old and they were making good points, they were salient, why not? But you're not going to get that from an 18-year-old. You're going to end up with, the average 18-year-old, there's like, we'll put Coke in the water fountains or whatever. So again, it should be like a competency test where the electorate looks at it and says, this person can do it and this person can't. I do think that there are legal reasons why you don't want anybody under 18 running for office. And maybe the founders had their reasons for, 45? Is that it for president? Mm-hmm. So I'm not even old enough to run for president yet.
You're not 45?
No.
Is that the age for president? Hold on.
It has to be younger than that because J.D. Vance is talking about for 2028, and he's a year younger than I am.
35 years old.
35, that's 45. It. Yeah. I was going to say. But
you're old enough.
Yeah, I'm old enough to run for president. I'm just not smart enough to do it, or I'm too smart to do it.
You're probably too honest to do it.
A little bit of both.
That's the problem. All right, let's talk Lindsey Graham coming up after the break and the shocking news that came out from this weekend. And we'll actually be talking more about it with News Nation because we do have a guest for this hour, which I think will be good. There's just so many different angles to this Lindsey Graham story, and one that I think I wanted to talk to you about, Brad. I think it hits home a little bit. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Frey, 97.1 FM Talk.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
You know know Zero Res, the zero residue carpet cleaner that leaves your carpets truly clean with no dirt attracting soaps or harsh chemicals. Don't risk it with the other guys and skip the DIY disasters that leave your carpet soaked for days. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet zero resified starting at just $129. Call 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the 97.1 special. When it comes to hiring a contractor, you need somebody you can trust. It's Mark Cox, and I want to tell you about my friend Curtis Carrell of the Carrell Roofing Company. Curtis fixed my roof. It was after a major hailstorm. He came the same day, got up, inspected it, and from start to finish, from having the adjuster out, pointing out what he thought was wrong, all the way until it was done. It was a fantastic experience. And that's not just my experience. I have coworkers here at the radio station who've also used Carrell Roofing Company, and a lot of my listeners have taken my advice, and I thank you for that. Curtis goes the extra mile. He just sent his crews out to Kansas City. They got additional training on working with insurance adjusters, making them more likely to get approval on your case. If you've been denied, call Carrell Roofing Company and get Curtis on the case. He's going to do a good job for you. More than 20 years of experience in the roofing industry, and you can take that to the bank. Call him at 314-222-9529 or CarrellRoofingCo.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Annie Frey is St. Louis conservative.
And welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie. And welcome into the week. Wow, so much has been going on. And how about all the different stories you've heard out of the flooding and areas of Crawford, Iron, Madison, Reynolds, and Wayne counties that happened so quick, and Governor Kehoe activated Missouri National Guard, safely air evacuated 202 children and counselors stranded in the floodwaters that were in Lesterville, and 202, you had Black Hawk helicopters showing up trying to save these campers. What stories you're hearing of all the rescues coming from this rapid flooding. And I would have to think a lot of this has to do with they're thinking about what happened in Texas and the devastation there, and they said there is no expense that you think about at this time. You have to literally send everyone you can to save everyone. And that's what they did. And all the different rescues of children, camp counselors from the floodwaters, pretty impressive. And I know we'll talk more about that during the course of the show, but the governor praising the response in South Central Missouri. Wow. What a operation that was. And good for him. And I'm glad they directed the operations the way they did. They saved a lot of lives. You've seen the videos, right, Brad?
I've seen a lot of videos, and, some of the places that they had to rescue people from, they're places that I've been camping before,
Really?
You go down...
So you're familiar.
You're down in that area, Huzzah Valley, the what else would it be? Black River, all of those places, all those float trips are huge, especially this time of year. And, I don't know, I was watching some of the coverage, and they were talking about how quickly the water rose. It's like feet in 30 minutes, 3, 4, 5 feet in 30 minutes. You just don't have time to get out.
I can't imagine that much water that quickly. 30 minutes it rises that much. Because I'm sure anyone there, they've never seen anything like it. When they think, there'll just be some flooding, I'll get my shoes wet. No, this is like over your house type of flooding.
Yeah.
And, boy, devastation in that area, how fast that can happen. But they responded as quick as they could, and they saved a lot of lives, and we'll be talking more about that throughout the show. One of the big notes here, and talking about Lindsey Graham passing away over the weekend, there's a lot of theories about that, too. I did a Coast to Coast AM last night, and you'll, I think, understand, Brad, that sometimes things don't work out the way you should. We had 2 guests planned. One didn't pick up the phone last night, so I had 2 hours to fill. So we did open lines.
Okay.
And there were a good amount of people wanting to talk about Lindsey Graham and conspiracies about that. So he was just overseas on a trip. He was in Ukraine, and at the same time, you have him being looked at as an enemy of Russia. Russia's known to do certain things when it comes to poisoning, assassinations. So you can imagine those kind of theories ran wild. I don't think this is sinister in nature. The timing is a little suspect, but it sounds like, much like him and a lot of other people, they had heart issues, underlying heart issues that sneak up on you. And one day, if it hits you and you don't have the emergency response quick enough, there's no chance. And it reminded me a little bit of you, Brad. You've had some heart issues in the past and some scary moments too. When you read the news about Lindsey Graham, did you bring back like flashback memories of yourself?
I mean, whenever I read the stories, that's immediately where my mind went. I was like, this sounds like a sudden illness, and then, he passed away. To me, it sounded like some sort of heart attack or something like that. Now, what did they say it was? An aortic bisection or dissection, something like that?
Yeah. Did you know what that meant?
No, I had to look it up, but it seems like a pretty devastating thing to happen. And, it's a result of I think they said arterial sclerosis or whatever, hardening of the arteries. But basically, the lining separates inside the aorta, and then the blood rushes in through a split in that inner lining and fills a gap in between the two linings, and then it can starve your organs of oxygen and whatnot. And then it's like when it happens, you need to get help right away. So
right, and President Trump said he spoke with him maybe a couple hours before that happened. I don't know the timeline of how he was found. I think they said he was alone at the time, and it took a long time for someone to, between the actual event itself. And I've seen some TMZ photos, of all places, TMZ posting him on the stretcher, when they brought him in through, out of his house into the ambulance. And, they're doing everything they can to try to save his life. And at that point, I've seen the reports where it's like, after 20 minutes pass, it's not good.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard one to come back from.
Yeah, talking about him being alone, that was one of the things for me whenever I had my first heart attack. I wasn't alone. I woke up in the middle of the night. There was no warning signs. There was nothing like that, but I woke up in the middle of the night with this severe chest pain. And the way I describe it is if you've ever had like a burp caught in your chest and you feel that like little inner pressure, but it was like that, and then it just kept getting more and more and more and more intense, and then I started getting clammy and cold sweats, and then my fingertips started tingling. And fortunately, my wife was there, and I woke her up, and I said, hey, I need help, and we called 911, and they threw me in the ambulance, and we went to the hospital. So I think that whole process maybe took 15 minutes from me initially having that to me getting into an ambulance and getting out of my house.
Wow. So you said you're first.
Yeah, I've
It's
had
happened
3.
more than once.
They're all, all 3 are a result of the same spot in my heart, and they just kind of have built on one another. So the first one was a complete blockage. They said diet, exercise, lose weight, that sort of thing, and your arteries, your healthy arteries, will build in around this blockage and kind of create almost a natural bypass and give blood where the blood needs to go. It's like, okay, I'll do that, and I dieted, I exercised hard, and I lost 100 pounds, and was doing really good. And then one Sunday evening I was at youth group and we were playing floor hockey with the kids, and all of a sudden the same pain started happening again, not as intense. So away we went to the ER. We get to the ER. They said it was a heart attack. A blood clot got stuck. So what had happened was the blockage had opened because of all the good things that I did, and then a blood clot got stuck in that. So they saw that. No. They sucked the little blood clot out. They put a stent in. It's like doing great. And then in September of 2020, same old feeling again, a little bit milder. So each one was milder feeling. So I go to the ER. They're like, yep, you've got the little protein that shows up whenever you're having a heart attack. And so they looked at it and they said, well, here's what has happened. That blockage, the stent that was in there, has scarred over and calcified over and blocked up again.
Wow.
So it was all the same spot, and it was all, each one was a little bit less than the previous one, but still.
And this last one was what year you said?
2020.
Okay. Do you ever see stories like this and in your mind you're like, I'm about due? Like, do you feel like there could be another one coming at some time?
I do. I think so. I don't right now I'm all plugged up. That blockage is blocked up, and it's those auxiliary arteries that have grown in that are feeding the other areas.
That's scary. I'm glad that you openly talk about this. Do you think Lindsey Graham may have had, well, it's hard to tell what kind of symptoms he had, but, at 71, when you got heart issues, man, that's kind of the time they start to really get really problematic, And I think a lot of guys, I think about myself, I'll just speak for myself, you ignore a lot of things when it comes to your body for a long time until you can't ignore them anymore, until it becomes an emergency. It makes me wonder some of the warning signs he may have seen, didn't tell anyone, didn't want to bother anyone else. But that's tough.
But also in my case, there weren't any major flashing red light warning signs. Looking back on it, maybe in the weeks leading up, I was a little extra tired than I usually was and stuff like that. But there wasn't chest pain or anything like that prior to. It was just,
happened.
Just happened.
Wow. We have a guest to talk about Lindsey Graham in the next segment. Is that right?
Yes, we do. Joe Khalil. He's the senior congressional correspondent for News Nation.
Great. We'll take a break, and we'll get to him coming up in a few minutes. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Frey, and there's just so much to this story, including I saw today, I think Donald Trump made a recommendation of who can take his seat, at least temporarily speaking. We'll talk to him about that on the Andy Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering from Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Most sellers put their home on the market and just wait to see what happens. Hey, it's Mark Cox, and I'm with Gloria Liu, your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria, is there a better way to sell?
There is. Instead of listing your home the traditional way and hoping for the right buyer, I can get you up to 8 competitive cash offers right from the start. That means you're not guessing what your home might sell for. You're looking at the real offers and choosing the one that works the best for you. It also helps you to set the right price and create stronger demand if you decide to go to market. It gives you control, leverage, and a clear path forward before you accept just any offer. And remember, I'll guarantee to sell your home at 100% of the market value, or I'll pay you the difference.
Before you sell your home, see what your options are. Call the one I trust, Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
Everyone needs to have at least one person in their corner in life. When you don't, it's an extremely lonely and frightening place to be. But knowing you have that one person gives you peace and hope. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Since 1988, myself and my firm have been in so many corners for so many clients for so many years. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason, and it's not even close. We fought like hell for you. We fight the bullies, automobile insurance companies, the makers of unsafe products, medical providers who injured or killed their own patients. It has been such an honor and made my life complete. If you ever need us, it's easy. On your mobile device or computer, visit forthepeople.com, and then we get to work 24/7. Whether you're hurt in a car crash, injured on the job, or have questions about your Social Security, we're here for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Happy birthday, America, in 2026. Get used to hearing the word semi-quincentennial. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
And welcome back to the Andy Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker filling in, and thank you for all of you that are watching us on the live stream right now. We do have a YouTube live chat poll, which we forgot to announce earlier, which we'll get to after our interview with News Nation's senior congressional correspondent, Joe Khalil. Thank you so much for joining us in St. Louis here today.
Of course. Glad to be with you.
What a weekend. The news of Lindsey Graham, I think, shocked a lot of people. I remember looking at my social media feed and seeing it trending, and I thought, how? This came out of nowhere. I think there's a lot of people that are grieving, and unfortunately in today's social media world, there's also a lot of people celebrating, which is sad to see. What do you think Lindsey Graham's going to be remembered for? Because I'm sure you're seeing a lot of different sides right now.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I mean, it's a huge question because he just leaves behind such a massive legacy. I think, what he'll be remembered for, the sort of institutional loss that this is for the Senate, I don't think we're quite processing yet. And just give people a picture. When foreign leaders, especially European leaders, needed to communicate with President Trump and they had a hard time, they would go to Senator Graham. And that would be Zelensky, that would be Netanyahu. That link is lost now. If Democrats or if Republicans on Capitol Hill had issues with the White House, there was no then Senator. I mean, he was a defense hawk for sure. He made a lot of political enemies. It's not necessarily the popular stance right now to be so pro-Israel as he was, to be so pro-Ukrainian in the Republican Party, but he unapologetically was still. So I think all of that goes into his legacy. I think also what you're seeing from Republicans and Democrats is on a personal level, many of them, most of them did see him as somebody they could cross the aisle and work with. And a lot of stories today from Democrats even, funny that he was a sort of a jovial guy. He liked to laugh. He liked to joke with himself. He was incredibly serious and intense when he wanted something to get done. But there was that lighter side to him. And I'll just add one more thing, I think, when we talk about legacy. I think you cannot separate his relationship with President Trump as part of his legacy. And some will love this, some will hate this. He was bitter rivals with the president. He disagreed often on policy and would say, he said really horrible things about the president and vice versa. Back in 2016, he came to learn that if he wanted to be an influence maker in Congress in the United States, if he wanted to be a champion for, say, Ukraine, you couldn't be a political opponent of President Trump. You had to be one of his allies, and he made himself that so that he could still wield that power and have that influence. I think that is sort of also, that will be a legacy point that I think a lot of people, some might love, some might hate, but this is the complicated figure that was Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, I think when it comes to politicians who have relationships with the president, and you've seen a lot of people criticize him before he got into office, I think what they found was that if you're willing to lay out your case and meet with him, you can convince the president why you feel the way you do, and he'll get on board. And it goes to show you, too, you're right with Israel, you're right with Ukraine, that Lindsey Graham has been a huge ally for both of those causes, which now people wonder, where is that going to sit if maybe your biggest advocate in the United States is no longer serving and the president doesn't have that person advocating for them? What does that mean for these foreign entities? Are we going to start winding down with it? And, of course, you have the SAVE Act as well. So there's a lot of things that we're kind of balancing here in the Senate that Lindsey Graham seemed to not necessarily organize, but at least be an ally for some of the agenda pieces for the administration. So you're right, moving out in the future, too, a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he was at the center of virtually every major political issue, whether it was foreign policy or whether it was domestic. President Trump right now is trying to move forward with a third sort of big budget bill. Guess who was the Senate budget chairman? That was Senator Lindsey Graham. So he used to help usher through that. Literally the last public event that Graham did was in Ukraine on Friday. And he put out this big video talking about how he has this sanctions bill on Russia. It's an aggressive sanctions bill. It's very bipartisan. Democrats were part of it, but he was the lead Republican on it. And he announced that the White House, after more than a year, has just made an agreement with him, and the president is going to sign it. The bill will move forward. So again, where does that bill go? I talked to the Democratic leads on it today. They still think it will go forward. They think even more so now. It's got momentum because that's going to be part of Graham's legacy. But you're absolutely right. Take a big issue, take a major issue that the Senate has dealt with in the last 20, 30 years, and you're going to find Lindsey Graham, if not right in the front of that issue, and certainly in the middle of it. And for those that criticize him for sort of ingratiating himself with President Trump, the question is, could he be the influential presence he was on all of these issues had he not been such a close ally of the president and been able to sway him sometimes in different directions?
Yeah, and I know we only have 30 seconds here, so very briefly, President Trump recommended that Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene step in momentarily. Do you think that's a good idea?
This is only for a couple of weeks. Senator Graham's term would have been up at the end of the year. It is more than a couple of weeks, couple months, I should say. I think even Leader John Thune has expressed some support for that idea. So that would be the short term. Long term, we'll see which Republican throws their hat in the ring to get on the ballot in November. We'll find out.
In the short term, we've seen this. It's not unprecedented. It happens quite frequently. News Nation's senior congressional correspondent, Joe Khalil, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Glad to do it.
Wow. With the news of Lindsey Graham over the weekend, I saw that. I think it was the New York Post actually got a hold of Darlene, which is Lindsey Graham's sister, and they were asking her what she felt about perhaps stepping in, because she was the only surviving family member of Lindsey Graham, unmarried, no kids. You notice what some people were posting online too, some pretty bad things about Lindsey Graham, homophobic things, I guess you can say. I don't know if he ever talked about that, did he? A lot of people were, because he was unmarried, assumed he was gay, and they used that as a way to try to harass him after he died. It was pretty terrible, honestly.
There were some gross things out there.
Really despicable stuff there. I don't think Lindsey Graham, as far as I know, ever talked about that sort of thing. He was just someone that was unmarried, right? Like, did any of that ever come out that you know of?
Not that I know of. The rumors and the... I would call it slander. Here's the thing that I don't understand. So the party and the side of the aisle that is supposed to be super tolerant and super loving and super supportive of members of the LGBT community, they're the ones using that as an insult?
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
They'll use it when they can. They'll use anything they can to try to hurt someone else. I think that's one of the key tenets of the left. Whatever they can use to hurt someone else, they'll use it, even when it goes against what they supposedly are for. So it's so interesting. I think when it comes to left and right, left will use it to attack, right will use it to point out hypocrisy. They'll say, don't you find that a little bit, hypocritical that now you're doing this? And they'll use they'll attack the hypocrisy, but they don't normally attack someone on values that they agree on. In fact, if they find something they agree on, they're like, hey, how about that? We actually agree on something. Maybe we're not all that far apart. They'll use it as a way to try to unite, and then they'll make fun of the hypocrisy side of it. But on the left, it's definitely, if we can find a weakness, and in this case, something they even agree on that they look at as a quote-unquote weakness, they'll use it as a way to try to tear someone down if it meant they're pulling someone away that they don't like. Yeah. It's not great, the way the left politics work. All right, when we come back after the break, I wanted to talk about an idea that Donald Trump floated about changing the retirement system.
Okay.
And they're talking about ideas about the way Australia handles their retirement system. I have a friend from Australia, and I've discussed his retirement system with him before, so I'm a little bit familiar with it. Now, they're saying it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but let's talk about that, because I know there's a lot of people that are worried that, one day Social Security goes away, so do we need to fix it now? And Donald Trump said, okay, maybe this is the next one. Oh, you think that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Social Security is going to go anywhere, so let's talk about that coming up after the break. It's the Andy Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is Jimmy Fallon from Fox Across America. One reason you should support America 250, is our country's now the same age as Nancy Pelosi. Happy birthday, America 250, you fine thing, you.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Things in Washington, D.C. may seem unsettled at times by their lack of progress, but one department in the U.S. government is progressing. That is the IRS. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS is in full function to collect on unpaid taxes. If you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and get it resolved. Don't think the government is too busy to focus on my issues. Too many of my clients thought the same. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Lance Story Law Firm. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Or call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceStoryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. That is not the right poll question. The poll question today actually is, if I can remember off the top of my head, my show sheet's messed up. I messed up the show sheet. The YouTube live chat poll today is well, that's what it says, but that was Fridays. Yeah. So I put a different one on the stream, and it is, should the United States put boots on the ground in Iran? And that's what we want to know from you. So, should the U.S. put boots on the ground in Iran? We're not going to define what boots on the ground means. We're going to let you do that. There's a couple ways you can let us know your thoughts on this. You can leave us a comment in the chat. The other thing that you can do is you can text us at 314-241-9797. If you haven't saved that number in your phone, do so, because that's our text line, 314-241-9797. You can text us that number. Leave us a comment telling us why you're voting the way you voted. Yes or no is the simple answers. Let us know, and we might read your comments on the air. The time is 12:47. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Annie Frey Show is St. Louis conservative.
I'm Ryan Recker, and yes, go vote in the YouTube chat poll while we speak if you want to go watch the live feed. I was given a little bit of a Aretha Franklin dance, I guess would be the right way to put it. It's about as close as I get to dancing. The only people I should say I dance in front of are my children to embarrass them inside the house where no one else can see it. I don't know if other dads are like that or if it's just like, I don't think I would ever do that in public. Maybe a little bit. So there was a tease that Donald Trump gave about the retirement system, and America's retirement system is broken. Would you agree or disagree on that one?
I would 100% agree with that. I think this retirement system is broken and it's not funded correctly.
Okay. So let me tell you the argument that's being made, and this was teased because Donald Trump said this is going to be one of the next things he works on. So we know he has the Trump accounts where, if you're born 2025 and after, they create a $1,000 account, you sign up for it, and the idea is you can continue to contribute into it almost like a 529 plan in a way. But they put a little bit of a base fund in it.
Okay.
And it is supposed to grow over time, and then you can use that by the time it matures when you're 18 plus or even older, depending if you take it all the way to retirement, and you'll have a really strong base for that. I think their numbers are a little off. They make it sound like if you put $1,000 down when you're first born, then you'll be a millionaire with doing nothing up until the time. I don't know. I think that's a little bit faulty.
You need to make some donations to that for sure.
Yeah, even small incremental donations over time makes a big difference. It does, but that would scare me if that were to be true. Then what you're basically saying is inflation's going to go crazy, and we're in a lot more trouble than we're admitting. So they are pointing towards Australia. And they say there's a system Australia uses that, I've talked to my friend in Australia, and the way he describes it is basically as if you were in control of your Social Security account. And I think some people have floated ideas of privatizing your retirement and privatizing Social Security, meaning you can invest it the way you want. So Australia requires employers to contribute a percentage of their wages to an individual retirement account known as a super. The worker owns the account. The investments stay invested. The account follows the employee. It's always your thing. And Australia has built one of the world's largest retirement saving pools ever in the population. So it's a pool in that sense. So in the United States, we have Social Security, very similar in the sense that a portion of your check goes into an account, and then you're able to get benefits by the time you retire, not necessarily in proportion with the amount of money you put in, because if you put in a lot of money, you're still going to be capped at what you can take out. But I think the benefit would be, let's say, as you're a worker and maybe you contribute maybe more aggressively than some people that don't contribute a lot, then you would have better benefit on the back end because this would be the money that you contributed in. So what they are saying is keep Social Security as the foundation. This is the hybrid version. And then create a portable retirement account that belongs to the worker, and then require and strongly encourage automatic retirement contributions into a privately managed investment account is the way that they're talking about this. So right before we went into break, I'll tell you what my main concern is when it comes to, privatizing and messing with retirement. If you don't have Social Security and Social Security goes, there's a lot of people in trouble. That would be a major issue. Now, Brad, you don't believe Social Security is going to be around by the time you retire? Do you think it'll be gone by then?
Yeah, I think it'll be insolvent. At the rate we're going, the math says that it'll be insolvent. It'll be gone. And
okay.
I understand the concerns that everybody has with Social Security, and I'm not of the mindset that they should just straight up end Social Security. But I also don't think it's fair that I'm paying into something that I probably won't be able to withdraw from.
Yeah, or at least the full value of.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a percentage of, like, let's say the people that are pulling from now are 100% of what the benefits are allotted to them. What if by the time we retire, if that ever happens, because we're in radio, we're at like 80%? Like it's a portion of it that we thought we would get, but it's not the full portion that we were promised. Do you think that could happen?
Oh, absolutely. I think that I think that's probably likely what will happen, because at some point they will have to say or admit, hey, we have to do something on this because it's not going to last. And that means that some people are going to get hosed, and it's probably going to be people like you and I who are not of the retirement age. But that being said, I'm also not planning. I'm planning my life and my retirement as though I won't have Social Security to lean on. And so, what we get will be bonus, and I'll just be bitter about the money that they took from me that I could have done a better job managing than they did.
Right. My biggest concern, and I think there's always going to be a Social Security around, because my biggest concern is what happens, because you look at the amount of people today that don't have retirement, and they have literally nothing to fall back on. What happens when they retire? We're just going to let them live on the streets? Like, are we going to have just mass homelessness? There's going to be some sort of government intervention, and they're going to have to find a way to fix the cost of everything, especially housing being so expensive. And if you don't have a retirement to at least cover the cost of you and your living, there's going to be some serious repercussions for that. So I can't see it going away. I feel like it's going to have to keep up, but I would also like to see a way where people who are responsible are able to benefit from that responsibility. I feel like the whole system is set up for those that have been, it's the safety net for those that are irresponsible, unfortunately. And I think that maybe we just have to change what's promised, because I think if people are, under the understanding that I've paid into the system and the promise is I'm going to get this benefit, at some point they're going to break the promise. They better do it earlier than later, because they got to start figuring this out in the sense that they got to start reconfiguring expectations of what's going to happen in the future. That's something they got to do immediately.
Yeah, and they don't want to, because it would be politically unpopular. It would cost them at the polls. It's going to take braveness to fix it. But
what do you think is going to happen? Do you think one day they'll say something like, well, we can't guarantee your Social Security, but let's do universal basic health care or something, and then at least that's one expense you don't have to worry about. It'll equal out in the end, the amount of money you'd be paying in health care. Do you think they'll try to pull something like that?
No, I think it'll end up being something where they'll just write a bill where they print money, and then it ends up driving inflation up, because they're just going to honor what they said they were going to honor, even though the demographics of the nation have shifted so much that the formula for Social Security doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm. You have your own private insurance, your own private ways of funding your retirement. I think a lot of people, at least through your workplace, some of them have 401ks, and hopefully there's some contributions that go on there. It's very good for you to also put retirement money aside in other funds. I mean, it's smart to do all of these different things. I just find that so many people don't. And we're going to have a day of reckoning, and it's going to be really unfortunate. And I do fear, much like a lot of other people, that the amount of money that we have allotted thinking what was going to be there won't, and then you're going to run out, and then I'm going to work in radio until I'm Mitch McConnell's age. I'll be 84, and I'll be trying to do some sort of job, driving for Amazon, or I'll be working at a data center. I'll be a data center greeter. All right, you're listening to the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in 97.1 FM Talk.
You know, the average lifespan of an air conditioner is 10 to 12 years. Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation has a free instant quote tool for you to use right now to help you prepare for the cost of a new AC unit. Visit aircomfortservice.com. Right there, you can click Get a Quote. Enter some information specific to your home, and you'll be able to get a few options with the ballpark cost of what that new AC unit will cost you. It helps you be prepared. Air Comfort Service cares about your confidence, and they care about the service that they provide you, and they are the best. I am a multi-time customer of Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, and I encourage you to put your trust in Corey Malone and his incredible team in operation at Air Comfort Service as well. Remember that Get a Quote tool, it gives you a ballpark estimate. Every home is going to be different, but if you want to get that firm quote right away because you know that the time is now, you can call them directly at 314-513-0091 and schedule a free in-home estimate right away. Air Comfort Service is proud of the work they do and stand behind it. Call them at 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
Ford takes them?
That's exactly what Ford does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't Ford kill majority rule?
Yep, creates minority rule, where just 5% of statewide voters in one district can block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass citizen-led ballot measures.
That's just dumb.
And when the politicians refuse to act, we've used citizen-led ballot measures to pass some big stuff, like lobbyist reforms, term limits for career politicians, and outlawing tax hikes without voter approval.
I'm not surrendering my power and rights to a bunch of politicians and lobbyists. I've no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Pay 4 buttons or inch, prepare governance.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Protests erupt in Maine. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Chance of get ice off our streets after possible federal involvement in a deadly shooting earlier today.
The shooting happened in the town of Biddeford, about 15 miles southwest of Portland. As officials investigate Project Relief, a group that advocates for immigrant rights, posted on social media that it was during, in its words, an encounter with ICE that one of its community members, they described as a young person, was killed. Governor Janet Mills said in a statement she was briefed on the incident and knows these situations are alarming, but state and federal law enforcement are continuing to work with the Maine Attorney General's and medical examiners' offices to determine the facts.
Fox's Gernal Scott. The protesters descending on the Biddeford office of Republican Senator Susan Collins, who's in the midst of a re-election campaign, and posted that the shooting requires a full and impartial investigation. Earlier, county prosecutors announcing they now have evidence previously withheld about 2 deadly shootings in Minnesota as they conduct their own probe into the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. 2 hours from now, the South Carolina governor is expected to announce who will fill the remaining months of Senator Lindsey Graham's term after his sudden death over the weekend.
President Trump posted on Truth Social, I recommended to Governor Henry McMaster, Lindsey Graham's wonderful sister Darlene, to serve as interim senator from the great state of South Carolina. This would be a fabulous tribute to Lindsey, who loved her dearly. While in his early 20s, Senator Graham stepped in to raise his younger sister after they lost their mother to cancer in 1976 and then their father to a heart attack the following year.
Fox's Jonathan Seri. Graham was running for re-election. A special election next month will choose a new Republican nominee. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
The unsettled weather pattern has broken, and we have a dry week on our hands. Now, it will be summertime, but it's nothing extreme. Sunshine for the afternoon, 88 tonight, clear skies, 69 Tuesday, sunny 90, Wednesday, sunny 91, and about 93 degrees and sunny on Thursday and again on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. If your air conditioner needs service anytime, day or night, Air Comfort Service has almost 60 years of experience and is family-owned and operated right here in St. Louis. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
For goodness sake, Chiz, keep your voice down. Your father's listening.
Or Annie Frey. There's a little bit of confusion last hour, by the way, of what the YouTube live chat poll was. So there's a live chat poll up. If you haven't voted on it yet or joined us there to comment in the live video feed, Brad, what's the YouTube chat poll today?
The poll today is, should the U.S. put boots on the ground in Iran? And it's just yes or no. And we want to know why you think that. So you can text us or you can leave us a comment on the YouTube stream.
I think this is going to be like a 90-10 thing. It might be 95-5, depending on what the breakdown is, yes or no. Okay, are we ready with our guests? I think we are. Joining us now, Fox News anchor and correspondent, Chanley Painter. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us in St. Louis.
Absolutely. How are you today?
Doing great. So following the Charlie Kirk story in the trial that's going on, oh boy, I think that there's a lot of people that feel like the judge when they're going through the evidence. And there was that viral video where they showed the gunshot and the judge winced, like he saw it and it kind of like startled him. I think there's a lot of people feeling that way about every bit of evidence that's been presented so far in this trial. How do you think it's going?
Yeah, so this preliminary hearing it was definitely one for the book. So usually the standard is probable cause for the preliminary hearing. That is the standard in Utah. So it's a very low bar legally as far as what prosecutors have to put up as evidence. And they put 5 days of evidence almost up before this judge. In my opinion, there's probable cause met on day one. As you said, there's video evidence in this case, surveillance video that investigators say is Tyler Robinson on the campus of Utah Valley University before, during, and after the shooting. We have forensic evidence, DNA tying him to the alleged murder weapon. We heard that in court, and to the items found around the alleged murder weapon. We have his former roommate and boyfriend, Lance Twiggs. Video was played before everyone where he confessed. Lance said he confessed to him at least 3 times via handwritten note, text message, and in person, expressed regret about what he did, why he did it. The evidence is overwhelming, and yet at the end of the week, on Friday, this preliminary hearing ended, the judge still didn't make a decision. He's going to have the parties come back September 1st. They're going to brief the issues, and then they're going to argue about it. So it really is an anomaly to have such a tedious and prolonged preliminary hearing at this stage. So really what this means, Ryan, is it'll be a year. Charlie Kirk was murdered September 10th of last year. We're a year into this case, and we still don't have it bound over for a trial, and we still don't have this defendant enter a formal arraignment, a formal plea. That's really unheard of.
Wow. Do you think they keep saying death penalty is still on the table? Is that still the case?
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So death penalty will remain on the table. That is something the defense is trying. I think that is almost the sole goal of this defense of Tyler Robinson. He has some out-of-state attorneys, high-powered defense attorneys, and they are litigating every motion, every part of this case. That is their job, and I believe that they are the reason that we are so delayed, because they are litigating everything, and they're making the prosecution put up the evidence, yet they're trying to keep evidence from the public, and I think their sole goal is to eventually somehow convince the prosecutors to take the death penalty off the table for some type of plea. That would be a huge win for them as a defense team. So that, I believe, is their goal. They already did ask once to have the judge take the death penalty off the table as a sanction for the prosecutor speaking about the case publicly. And obviously that was disproportionate and inappropriate at that stage. But I think that is their goal here, ultimately.
Yeah, and I think that would make sense if they're trying to perhaps work on something. And at this point, I would almost feel like the prosecution, they have more than enough evidence. I don't even know why they would consider a plea other than just saving the court some time.
Exactly. There's no motivation for prosecutors to take the death penalty off the table because they have all of the aggravating circumstances in which to meet the burden to prove or to show a jury that not only is he responsible beyond a reasonable doubt, but the next stage of that trial, if he is convicted, would be a sentencing phase or the death penalty phase in which they would hear aggravating factors as to why they should vote for the death penalty. His defense would put on mitigating factors. And here the prosecutors believe they can meet those standards. So what would motivate them to do that other than possibly, the Kirk family, as far as what we've heard, Erica doesn't have a position one way or the other. She's deferring to the prosecutors as far as what they believe as the death penalty goes. But right now it's on the table, and the prosecutors want to go to trial, and they want to pursue this and pursue justice to the fullest.
Yeah, and making this whole process public, that was something that some people wondered about.
Yes.
You found that there's a lot of commentators out there that have said some pretty inaccurate, and that's to say it lightly, inaccurate things about Charlie Kirk and this whole situation with the assassination. So the public being able to see this evidence as it's laid out, it's so overwhelming. Was that the goal here, to make it public so people can really see, okay, there's no reason to doubt it anymore?
That is the position of prosecutors. That is the position of the Kirk family. Erica Kirk, the family lawyer, took to the podium multiple times last week during this hearing to say, please, judge, show everything, show all the videos, show every piece of evidence, because we want the world to see what happened to Charlie Kirk and to really these naysayers. There's so many conspiracy theories around what happened, as you kind of mentioned on. They want to nip that in the bud, if you will. They want to say, here's the evidence. Here's what happened. Here's the video, so that people can see it for themselves and not question or rely on people who may twist the truth or try to spin something as it isn't. If the cameras are in the courtroom, there's transparency. So we see that, and we see the defense over here trying to keep parts of this evidence away from the public. They're doing the opposite. They want to seal exhibits. They don't want people to see these certain videos because they feel it'll prejudice their client so much that they can't impanel a fair jury when it comes to a time of trial. So it really is a battle inside this courtroom. And ultimately, the judge allowed one camera, a very limited camera. We were able to see most of it, but we were able to I was in the courtroom most every day last week to see it for yourself. But thankfully, the judge is understanding and realizes the importance of having this evidence out there because of the controversy kind of surrounding it and people wanting to profit off of wild conspiracy theories.
Right. From your experience and when looking at the evidence that's presented, and you're right, multiple days of evidence, it seems overwhelming in the prosecution's favor. Have you ever seen anything like this, so overwhelming, one-sided?
There are a lot of cases that have evidence that are overwhelming. This is probably one of the most high-profile cases, right, because of who Charlie Kirk was and how publicly he was assassinated and the fallout since then. And I think that's one reason the judge did want to take so long to have this preliminary hearing. Again, in the normal course of a criminal trial, preliminary hearing could last 30 minutes because the standard is so low. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. There's no jury. It's just a judge saying, hey, there's a reasonable belief that Tyler Robinson committed this crime. And that could have been done on Monday of last week, right? But because of the nature of this case and because the prosecution and the family want all the evidence out there as much as possible to combat any naysayers, that's what we saw here, something a little above and beyond what we would normally see because of the nature of this case.
This is kind of a weird question, but you have the one other high-profile case that happened in the assassination of the healthcare CEO, Luigi Mangione.
Yes.
So, are there any supporters of Chanley Painter that you know of? Excuse me, that's your name. Is there any supporters of of a Fox News anchor and correspondent,
Yeah.
Chanley Painter, joining us here? But when you have the the Charlie Kirk assassin in court, do you find there's
Right.
any supporters of him out there that
Yes.
you know of, or anyone
And-
out there?
And I guess I should say to the listeners out there, I'm an attorney. I not only Fox News anchor, but I'm an attorney. I was a former prosecutor, so I do speak from experience in that way. I've been in courtrooms all over the country for years and years and years. I've seen a lot of high-profile cases from inside the courtroom, and yes, this was definitely maybe not as big because it wasn't a trial; it's a preliminary hearing, so it wasn't as big as maybe some Johnny Depp or Brian Koberger cases I've been to, but they had the public. Like people could show up for only 14 seats for the public inside the courtroom. So you would have people line up the night before, like at 6 o'clock the night before. They would stay all night out in front of the courthouse to have a seat inside that courtroom. And you had mostly, you had a mix. You had a couple of mother or daughter or someone who maybe attended Utah Valley University. They're there for the Kirk family. They saw what happened maybe, and they wanted to show up for court in support. But you also saw in that crowd those who question the evidence. I talked to a lot of them standing in line, and they didn't think it was black and white, or they thought that they didn't see any evidence. Or when I tried to challenge them with what we did see in court, they thought, oh, well, that was planted, or I don't believe this. So you had a mix in that crowd of public to the seating inside the courtroom of both supporters and those who want to question the government.
Yeah. Fox News anchor and correspondent Chanley Painter, I know that you've been covering a lot. If people wanted to follow you and your coverage and what you're doing, where can they find you?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I have, I guess it's X now, not really Twitter, right? The Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I have an account there. It's at, what is my handle? At Chanley S. Painter on Twitter. I have an Instagram account, of course, as well, at Chanley Shea. So I try to do updates along the way. From whatever I'm covering, so I
still call it Twitter.
Yeah,
if there was a trial that prosecuted everyone that still calls it Twitter, I would be on that list because I cannot call it X.
Weird to say X. It is.
I know, it is weird. All right, Chanley Painter, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Fox News anchor and correspondent following the Charlie Kirk case and the preliminary hearing that was going on. I want to go back and maybe go through some more of our social media feed. It's so interesting to see what that's like when you actually go to a courtroom and talk to someone that maybe supports the defense, in this case, when the evidence is so overwhelming. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. So much to get to on the show here. And I found that the education department wants to crack down on schools, and I don't know who would be against this, honestly, when you find out what they're going to be doing. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com is the website. I really hope that you have learned by now that I think Matt Hayes is a guy that you can trust. And meeting him maybe in your basement while you're trying to figure out how to solve the waterproofing concerns that you have with the water leaking in, maybe a lot of water leaking into that basement. You need to get ahead of it before it gets worse. It's going to get worse. So here's what you do. You call Matt Hayes at Home Shield Foundation Repair, and you invite him over so that he can look at what you're dealing with and give you an estimate that will give you the solution that you need once and for all to have that waterproof basement finalized. Comes with a lifetime warranty, which is a great addition of trust that you can put into Home Shield Foundation Repair. They're going to do the job right the first time, but you want to do it with somebody who's going to listen to you, who's going to give you a really strong quality solution, and it's at 314-271-9900. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. You know, the doctors, or just the best doctors to see for your best vision in St. Louis. 314-966-5000, the doctors. They've treated more than 250 doctors. That's more than any other practice. Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. 314-966-5000 is their phone number. 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie, Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, LASIK surgery. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, experts. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or visit them online, youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, quarter mile west of 270. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. And these days, they go by so quick. I mean, we talked about Lindsey Graham and a little bit about Mitch McConnell in the first hour, but if you want to go back and use the rewind feature, you can do that. Or if you want to watch the video feed later, you can always follow us on there. I see Brad's wearing his Ford Motor Company shirts.
It's my Ford Bronco shirt.
I don't think we've talked since the last time about your project. You were working on a Bronco.
Yes.
And I think it looks great, but you're having some issues with it, huh?
Yes. So my Ford Bronco right now has no motor. I went out there and, whenever a vehicle's been sitting for a long time, one of the things you want to do is just see if it'll spin over. Well, of course, I get out there. The car doesn't have a battery. I don't know if the starter works. So I'm just going to hook a big breaker bar onto the crankshaft and just see if I can physically spin it over. No, it is seized. So I've got a new plan, and it's kind of neat to me. My dad has the last new truck my grandfather bought.
Okay.
And that truck has a 351 Windsor in it, which is a small block Ford engine. Might be getting in the little weeds for some people, but the Bronco had a 302. Both of those engines have the same kind of base block, so they are pretty interchangeable. So that engine from my grandpa's truck will still run, and it will fit in that Bronco. And so my plan is to put the engine out of my grandpa's truck into my Bronco so that it'll run.
Love it.
So it'll have a little sentimental value as well.
We really need the sales team to listen to this and have you document this whole process and make a series out of it, because I think it's fantastic what you're doing.
Man,
with
if
this Bronco.
if they want to get somebody to sponsor me building this, I'm down.
Yes, exactly. There should be someone sponsoring you to document and film this of you building this together. I think it would make a fantastic series. A sales team, we've got to get on this. This is a unique skill that you have, and I think a lot of people would be interested in. So on Friday, the Trump administration, through the Department of Education, announced that they are going to move forward with investigating sexual predators in K through 12 schools across the country. I want you to guess who's against this.
Guess.
So this is an article. I think the Daily Caller may have wrote this up originally, but I think you can guess who may be against this.
Yeah.
So the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights said it's issued a new guidance aiming to remind federally funded educational institutions of their legal obligations to safeguard children and appropriately respond to incidents of sexual misconduct under federal law. Now, the big thing that we want to underline here is federal law, meaning that the federal standard is a little bit more clear than state standards, who may allow some funny business, and a lot of times it has to do around transgender things that some states kind of like, we're going to tiptoe around this and maybe even allow it because we need to be more sensitive to this type of community. So the federal law is different. They don't mess around with that. And if you want to be able to continue on, if your obligations to safeguard children in your federally funded educational institution, then this is going to be an important thing for them to pay attention to. So the move comes after administration recently saw multiple credible reports of sexual abuse and harassment by adults in positions of authority at school, giving uninvestigated or suspected offenders being transferred to new schools or roles in the district. Also, schools must protect American children. This kind of reminds me, too, a little bit of what the Catholic Church did for a long time, which is move the priest around. I think that moving teachers around, I haven't heard that happen as often. Now, you're a former educator. Let me just ask this. Generally speaking, without giving any specifics, if there was a rumor, would that spread like wildfire to the other teachers?
Oh,
would you know something? So you would know. If there was even a rumor, you would know.
The rumors, rumors, teachers talk. I mean,
yeah,
they're funny. My wife at her school, there's like a little corner where all the teachers, not all the teachers, but all the teachers in her particular department and their wing, they kind of come out of their classrooms as they pass in between classes. I call it the union meeting, but it's kind of, they just get together and they talk about the different things. And obviously there's always something that comes up. It's like, did you hear that? So stuff like that spreads like wildfire. Now, I will say this about my wife's school that she works at. They are fantastic at whenever there's anything suspect, getting to the bottom of it and reacting and responding straight away. There's not a lot of delay. So
right. So have you ever heard of teachers getting moved after allegations? They just pick up a job somewhere else and it may have been sanctioned through the district?
I have not heard of that. 'Cause I've heard of teachers getting in trouble at one school, resigning, and then going applying and getting hired at another school. But generally, the school that they resign from has an obligation to inform the new school about the allegations.
Do they now? So if that happens, you have to pay attention to the person's leaving, and you call up the new school.
I mean, there's also, well, if the school calls and you know how they do with job application, it's like, hey, would you hire this person again? The answer has to be no. You know. But there's also legal ramifications, there's union rules, and there's just all sorts of just legal loopholes and roadblocks and everything that you have to weave through to try to, you know, because if there's no conviction, then it's allegations at that point.
Yep. So here's a couple of things they note. In May, the Education Department announced it opened a Title IX probe into the Los Angeles Unified School District, alleging that the district appears to be protecting sexual predators. 2023 report from the Defense of Freedom Institute alleges that local education agencies in the U.S. often act in concert with local teacher union leaders, conceal sexual abuse by permitting accused employees to resign and move to new school districts or rather than face investigation and possible punishment, a practice called passing the trash. You ever heard that term, passing the trash?
Not in this context, no. It's a card game, but no.
It's a card game? Pass the trash?
Yeah, I played that as a kid. I don't remember. Maybe it's called something else, you know, with other people, but man, I don't like that. And you said the magic word there. This is the teachers' unions in coordination with the teachers' unions, because the unions are there to protect teachers. They're not there to protect the students. So,
that's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so much of what they advocate for when it comes to contract negotiations is we are here to protect the children.
No, they're not.
No, teachers' unions are there to protect the teachers.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's why they're the teachers' unions and not the student unions. Yeah.
What do you think about the role of the teachers' unions today? Are they do you think that they have overstepped their authority? Do you think they've gone too far? Do you think they're just right? I think a lot of times when it comes to unions, and it's interesting because, full disclosure, the job I have is part of a union, and I kind of see how it works behind the scenes. But I'll tell you what, the automotive union and the teachers union are two different complete beasts. They're two different things.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a part of a couple unions in my life, and they from union to union, they function differently. They have different goals, different rules, you know. So a union isn't a union. But man, I don't like where the teachers unions are. I don't like what they're doing. Especially the Chicago Teachers Union, the CTU. That place is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You
No,
know.
no. You're saying there's corruption in Chicago?
Oh, it's
I
awful.
Don't believe it.
It's terrible.
You're saying it. No, even in schools, there could be corruptible
100%.
people of authority? Not a chance.
I mean,
we're talking Illinois here. They're the best when it comes to this.
The Chicago Teachers Union is going so far as they want other areas outside of Chicago to start helping pay what they're demanding from their school districts.
So they're kind of saying we need to siphon, kind of like New York is with the rest of the state, like New York City with the rest of New York State.
We balance the budget with your money, not ours.
With your money to the state of bailing us out. Your tax dollars from outside this city now is paying for everything else. There's a lot of, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of places that do that. St. Louis, to a certain extent, does it with the zoo and Forest Park, and if you live in the region, you kind of pay some taxes to help maintain those. But those are amenities, not necessarily the city of what you're helping with. And they've always theorized how much money they could save if they were to not privatize, but combine the police and fire and things like that, some of the different resources. So a lot of times people are saying, okay, the tax money we pay for our community that has good service, we are going to end up sharing that with places with bad service, which means by default we're going to have less money for our own community, which we pay for. That's kind of what the school district is saying here. Okay, we're going to take more money from other communities so we can make other school districts worse in order to make ours a little bit less worse, but it'll still be worse.
Well, and I don't even, it's like not even that. They're not even concerned with making the school district. I mean, that's what they say, but what they're really wanting is we want more benefits. We want more money. We want bigger salaries. That's what we want. And if you pay us bigger salaries, our schools will be better.
Right, and the pensions and the obligations we can't afford. That's a big part of it.
No,
all right, a couple of things. One, there was a piglet that made the news in Missouri. I want to talk about that. But two, the bison is what everyone's talking about. Have you seen the viral video of the bison?
I just looked up. It was on one of the TVs up here in slow motion. Holy cow.
All right, the cow is he wishes he got rammed by a cow.
For sure.
We're gonna talk about that. The viral video that everyone is showing right now. Coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Renker, filling in for Andy Frey, 97.1 FM Talk.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now's the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Looking for a smarter, safer way to invest? For a limited time, lock in a great rate with Together Credit Union's 11-month CD special. From day one, your return on investment is guaranteed. No market swings, no surprises. Just a competitive, fixed rate that steadily grows your deposit. Make your money work harder with a financial partner that puts you first. Visit a Together Credit Union branch near you or go online to togethercu.org to learn more. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley. Injured by a careless driver? We work with the top doctors in St. Louis. We'll help you get the expert medical care you need and the maximum amount of money you deserve. Call 314-777-7777.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales, and voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Geez, taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder. But our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
Today's YouTube live chat poll, we want to know what you think on this. Should the United States put boots on the ground in Iran? Seems like we're running out of things that we can do over there, so we want to know what you think on that. It's just a yes or no question. You can text us at 314-241-9797 saying yep or nope and why. The why is what's really more important there. Also, you could leave a comment on our YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFry, and that's where the poll is to vote. So you can text us at 314-241-9797, or you can leave us a comment on the YouTube page. We'll look at those, and we will give you the poll results at the end of the show. The time is 1:33. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
2026 is a big year for America, and we'll be here with you, celebrating every step of the way. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk, sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. It's a nice song. I feel like we should just play this for the next couple of minutes.
I don't know that we're allowed to.
Who picked the music today?
Ethan.
We'll get in trouble. All Ethan. He's picking some excellent songs today.
Some bangers, as the kids say.
I know. Should we start with the bison or should we start with the piglet? The piglet on Missouri. But I think the bison's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a crazy story.
You saw the video, right?
I did.
So he's in his mid-60s. His name is
moved
Carl
pretty
McDaniel.
good. Not good enough, but he moved pretty good.
Okay, so when you think about the mid-60s, this is, I would say, what your average mid-60s man looks like.
Yes.
We're not talking about super fit. We're not talking about bad out of shape. This is what you would call right in the dead middle average 65-year-old, whoever. So Carl McDaniel suffered multiple broken bones in this encounter that happened at Yellowstone, near Yellowstone Lake at the Bridge Bay Campground. So they were there. You're supposed to give 75 feet to these bison that are at Yellowstone. He was pretty far away. He looked like he was 75 feet, if I had to guess, from the distance. Maybe he wasn't, but he looked pretty far away.
Yeah, he definitely didn't look like he was close enough to be messing with it at all.
Nope, he was in the distance. So there were people filming this from another campground. It looked like a distance. This bison was just hanging out on the ground, and you have this. Well, I don't know exactly his age. We're just going to say 65, just for the sake of give or take. And he's got his jeans on, short sleeve shirt and suspenders, long gray beard, bald on the top, and they're just kind of observing this bison laying around until the bison said, "I think I'm going to get up." And the way bisons get up, I didn't realize that's how they get up. They kind of rolled around on their back, and they kind of, through the momentum of rolling, get on their feet. And he started charging. And this 65-year-old knew, this thing's coming for me.
Yeah.
So as it charged, and he thinks he's going to outrun this bison said, "You ain't outrunning me." And he kind of hit him like you see when they do the running of the bulls, and people get. Luckily, there's not these big horns on the bison. But this bison got underneath him, whipped him up in the air, and it was almost comical in the way that he cartwheeled in the air. This 65-year-old man flung up like it was no big deal. Like the bison didn't even seem like it was trying hard. And the amount of air this guy got at 65 in average shape, you thought, this could be the end of this guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
how high do you think he went?
I am going to say he got up 10 feet. Would you guess, maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking 10, 12 feet. It was so to draw a picture of this in your mind's eye, just imagine that your arms are straight out, your legs are kind of straight out in a V, and you're cartwheeling through the air. And that's what this man was doing.
He was basically hip checked up into the air by this bison while it stormed past him. Now, if the bison turned around and said, I'm going to, stomp on you, then it would have been bad. But apparently, he broke some bones. His leg was hurting, but he was in good spirits and he was joking around about it. Like, did you see that?
What else could you do?
See that?
I mean, if you're not dead, what else can you do?
I mean, if that was me and I got flung around, I'd be like, can you believe that just happened? I would have, I think, also joked about it. So I showed this to my son, this video, and it's everywhere. And I would be shocked if by now people haven't seen this video because it is just, they're showing it nonstop all over the place. I showed it to my son. I'm like, you got to check this out. You know what my son said? Oh, no. He was genuinely concerned about the man's health.
He's got a good heart.
He's got a great heart. When he was younger, we showed him that episode of The Office where Kevin Malone spilled the chili.
Yes.
And he goes, oh, no, he worked so hard on that. He didn't find it funny. He was heartbroken that Kevin spilled that pot of chili onto the office floor.
Man,
like,
that would have been me
so
whenever I was little.
You're so better than me. Like, I would not. I would have looked at
All
that
right.
and laughed. Oh,
I don't know that I've told this story on air yet, but the scene in Dumbo, the animated movie, where they're going to launch him and he's got his ears tied up and he steps on his ear and he crashes and everything and knocks the whole tent down. I don't remember this happening. I do remember watching these scenes and being like very sad as a kid, but Dumbo knocks all those things down, and then he was supposed to get up on top of these elephants and wave his little flag with the D on it. And anyway, the whole scene ends, and he kind of slides out his nose out of from underneath the tent and waves the flag, but the flag's broken. My mom said she heard me crying one night and woke up, and I was watching that scene in Dumbo. So it wasn't funny to me. I was very sad, and so it's like I could relate to your kid. If I watched this stuff as a little kid, this would have hurt my heart. I've grown cynical in my age, but
going back to this bison. Oh, I know it's impossible once you get older. You want to keep the innocence as long as you can. So there's other people that saw this. So the video that we see of this happening was from a different person watching it from a different perspective, further away. And he just happened to be filming the bison because, it's cool. It's a bison. And you can see the guy in the background and the bison getting up. And the guy's like, oh, look, I'm filming this. And then he catches all of this happening. I mean, if this doesn't win a Pulitzer or something, this should win some award for the video that was captured there. But apparently other bystanders rushed to his help to make sure the bison didn't come back. They tried to scare him off. They didn't want him doing a second loop around because then the guy would have probably been a goner if he got trampled by it on top of that. So they said help arrived about 10 minutes later. They got him to the hospital for treatment through a park ambulance and transport. And apparently he's been doing all right. So they're saying, okay, we were keeping a respectful distance from the animal. It looked like in that video he was pretty far away.
Yeah.
So I was guessing at least 75 feet. But this bison said, we
not
ain't
today.
doing this.
He chose violence.
Not today. There was one other story about a piglet. Did you see this one?
I haven't seen this
Cleveland,
one.
Missouri?
No.
All right. This one's on Fox 2 now. And at some point, a 14-day-old piglet wiggled off the back of a transport truck and fell onto the highway there. So Fox 4 on Sunday morning drove out to a few of the workers in a Kansas City pig rescue network to talk about this little piglet. Apparently, other drivers saw this little piglet wiggle off like it's a movie, and they stopped and saved this thing from getting hurt on the highway. And you can see this little pig. It's a cute little piggy, just a tiny little pig. Almost like the size of, I don't know, a 6-month-old. I'm trying to think about
Man.
So this little piglet was rescued from the tractor trailer on I-35 and survived and is doing well right now. The Kansas City Pig Rescue Network, which I didn't know existed, which is located on the outskirts of Kansas City, collected the pig and named her Roxanne.
They rescue those?
They rescue pigs. There's a rescue group for every animal out there.
I imagine that they may more focus on like the potbelly pigs and the pet pigs more than they would like this one fell out of a truck. On its way
tiny
to a farm.
baby pig. Yeah.
Would you have stopped?
Would I have stopped for the pig? Oh yeah. That would have made the greatest story for my kids. If I stopped on the highway and saved a pig, my kids wouldn't stop talking about it until the day I die. Like that, they would bring that up at my funeral. Remember the time Dad stopped and saved the pig? Like that's the type of memory you'd be forming. How would you not be able to stop for a little piggy if you saw it? Like I almost feel like you have to.
Yeah.
You would have to like stop the car and you hope that someone doesn't rear end you with the amount of people distracted driving anymore. I guess the flip side of that is you might be risking your life with a distracted driver not paying attention. You trying to save a pig from the highway. I don't stop for squirrels. I mean, I would say over the weekend I was traveling in Ohio. I might have been the destroyer of squirrels because I think 2 or 3 ran out in front of me. And when you're going, 50 on a back road, you ain't stopping, man. That's danger to stop. So sorry, squirrel.
You don't
That's
stop,
the end.
and you don't swerve either, do you?
No, don't swerve.
Squirrel's got to make a decision.
Squirrel's got to figure it out. I mean, I'll slow down. I'm not going to slam on the brakes, but I'll take my foot off the gas. But I'm not going to like try to end up in a ditch or, maneuver in a way that might put us in danger. That squirrel's either going to get hit or it's going to run off. There's 2 options. And you know what? I was the destroyer of squirrels over the weekend. So that's just the way it goes in the back roads.
Add that to your title, Ryan Recker, destroyer of squirrels.
Well, I don't think I've hit 2 or 3 in a row on one drive ever. That was a lot, a high frequency amount of squirrels. They would not stop running in front of me. I don't know what was going on. It's like they knew they saw their opportunity and said, we're done. We're just going to do this. And they thought I was going to stop, but they thought wrong. This ain't happening. So this pig, luckily someone stopped. And if you want to see a picture of it, I think Fox 2 now has a picture of this little pig, Roxanne. I worked at a petting farm when I was in high school. We had a pig there. And my kids don't believe this, but I will swear in the Bible. I taught the pig how to lay down on command. Like a dog. I said, lay down. It would lay down.
I believe it.
Yeah, pigs are smart.
Oh, yeah, they are.
When I was working there, you get a lot of time down. Like you just mess around with the other workers and things like that. But the pig's name was Pork Chop.
Nice.
And I realized when you would rub the pig's belly, it would flop over. It loved belly rubs. So I would say, basically, lay down. And then I would start rubbing his belly. And it only took like 2 weeks. I would say, lay down, rub his belly, lay down, until I got to the point where I'd say, all right, lay down, and it would flop over before I would touch it, and then I would go rub its belly. And it was like a little party trick I would show to the kids that came to that petting farm. Hey, watch this. Pork chop, lay down. You go, they loved it. Nice parlor trick. Those pigs are really smart. So a little baby pig. You ever been to like a 4-H or something like that at the county fair and see all the baby animals?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on a farm as well, so like,
okay.
Chicks and piglets and calves and all that fun stuff, goats. Me and goats don't get along.
No, they like to ram.
Yes.
They're stubborn.
Yes, and they're mean.
Like women.
I am not saying that.
You're not allowed to laugh at that, Brad. I can't
That's
believe
not
you laughed
funny,
at that.
Ryan.
Yeah, you're not allowed to laugh. I'm going to tell everyone. Brad laughed at that.
No, it's on
all
tape.
Right.
I didn't.
Speaking of which, lawmakers are taking a hard stance on the WNBA violence.
Okay.
This is the wrong transition.
Radio transition pro.
This is the wrong
Speaking of
transition.
pigs and stubborn women.
Annie Fry's going to say that Ryan Recker's not allowed to come back anymore. After that, you're listening to the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Can't get enough 97.1? Follow us on socials. Facebook, X, Instagram at 97.1 FM Talk, and YouTube at 97.1 FM Talk STL. 97.1 FM Talk. Let's connect.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial # law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Have you heard those ads claiming Amendment 4 stops conservative amendments?
That's not true. It actually stops a couple big cities from pushing radical ideas into our Constitution. Remember 2024? Only 8 out of 114 counties voted to allow transgender surgeries on children. children.
That's terrifying. We can't let just a handful of counties rule the whole state.
Exactly. Amendment 4 requires broad statewide support and keeps foreign money out of our elections. Vote yes on 4 this August 4th.
You convinced me. I'm voting yes, too.
Paid for by Freedom Principle MO, Missouri First PAC, Kate Sickles, Treasurer.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Well, I'm sure you're aware, I guess you can all imagine, that not only are we busy, but other reputable companies are also just as busy, if not busier, and it's only going to get worse. So if you know, I know this is tough, but if your system has not been keeping up with your house for just not this year, but last year, the year before, and even the year before that, if you want to quit doing it and just get it done, just call me, Bart Inman, and it's one easy number, the easiest of numbers that sometimes I forget. So write it down. 314-293-2600, Missouri and Illinois, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new brick you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I just remembered something. Boy. My wife's friends listen to the show, and they're going to rat me out what I just said.
Yeah, you in trouble.
They are going to text her. There's no question about it. I am in trouble. There's no way that goes under the radar. Boy, I don't know if I can get out of this one. I'll let you know if I hear something from my wife. I'm going to go upstairs during this next break that's here soon, and I'll let you know if I hear anything. So maybe I'll start with this one. Great 1-2 punch when it comes to stories, but is U.S. soccer socialist? Have you seen the story? And I didn't realize this was part of their agreement. So you had Team USA in the men's team played in the World Cup. They got past the qualifying. They went to the round of 32, and then they lost in the round of 16. And because of it, they got $16 million prize money in the World Cup by going to the round of 16. So that's pretty good, right? $16 million. Yeah. So USA Soccer takes 20% of the money, so there's 80% left. The rest is distributed among the players that are on the roster, except because of an agreement that they made with women's soccer get equal pay, so they have to split it also with the women's soccer team. So even though they didn't play in this World Cup, as soon as the World Cup women's team qualifies, and the women on the roster will get half of the men's prize money from the FIFA World Cup that we just watched. It seems a little unfair, doesn't it?
That is ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
That's how the agreement's set up, so the women get equal pay. They take the men's World Cup pay.
Well, they have to, because if they don't, they won't get much money, because for whatever reason, and I think watching the women's team, the United States women's national team, is more entertaining than watching the men's play. I think that it's a different style of game. I think it's more entertaining. But people don't show up for the women's game, and they just don't draw the crowds that the men's games do. And that's not to say that the men's team isn't drawing and that the women's team isn't drawing or whatever. There's just more people that want to watch the men's World Cup than there are that want to watch the women's World Cup. But that's the income that you draw in. So why should the men have to give half to the women? Let the women make their money.
Well, NBA's like that in some way. They pretty much subsidize the WNBA.
Oh, for sure.
And if you think, too, people aren't necessarily watching for Team USA, the World Cup. It's the rest of the world watching their countries play, and that's what draws a lot of the fandom. And you think about it, the other countries of the world that are subsidizing Team USA women's, because that's what the big driver is for all of this. So when I saw that, I thought, you got to be kidding me on it. The other side of it is, and since we're talking about what great segments on women's sports, lawmakers are taking a hard stance on WNBA violence. 11 Republican lawmakers have drawn the hard line, saying that they want to fix the safety issues in the WNBA after they've seen nonstop ignoring of violence against one of their stars, Caitlin Clark. Have you seen the video? And this is the one that really kind of sparked everything, where Caitlin Clark's on the ground and there's another player for another team that's basically holding her down by the neck on the court, and nothing's called during this encounter.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen all sorts of videos of just it is violence, and it is targeted violence toward Caitlin Clark.
Right. You think it's because she's a white woman? She's young? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I think it's
is that a factor?
I think it's jealousy driven for sure. And
okay, so jealousy, and just blanket jealousy.
Blanket jealousy because she came in and she was able to do what all of those other women were not able to do. She made, for real, we talk more about the WNBA now than we ever have. I don't know that before Caitlin Clark became a player, we ever mentioned anything about the WNBA on this show. And I for sure know that I haven't really heard much talk about it whatsoever in common conversation. And now they're doing that. Not only that, they're making more money. The biggest sales are coming from Caitlin Clark's jerseys. She put that game in the mainstream of culture. She pushed it in there, and they're mad about it because they didn't do it.
And, she might not be the best player in the league, as far as I understand, but she is definitely the most well-known, and she's the one that is driving the interest into the league, which allows for them to, even hint at the idea that they could have a better collective bargaining agreement coming forward, because without her interest, then you're not filling the seats. It would have been the same old WNBA that we've seen in the past. And you're not making money off of it, and you're not able to sustain it. It's not self-sustainable. There's a lot of small leagues out there. You talk about baseball being a perfect example of it, where when they go to play at a host city, they're staying at people's homes because they just can't afford the big travel schedules. That's what the WNBA would be like if the NBA didn't subsidize it right now. It would be threatening to fold. I don't think it would be able to stay open. But then again, you have large groups of investors that are spending a lot of money in order to get new franchises and things like that, because they see the wave of interest. Is it a short-term wave of interest? Let's say Caitlin Clark one day is out of the league. Do you think there's still the same amount of interest? Did she bring enough for it to sustain?
I don't think it's sustainable. I think she's the main draw. I think that everything right now is revolving around her, which is why it's crazy that the WNBA isn't protecting her. Can you imagine them in the NFL, letting Tom Brady get absolutely ragdolled like that? Late hits, stomped on while he's on the ground, neck, choked and punched and whatnot. There is no way. There is zero chance the NFL lets that happen.
Yep. Not only because of their a star per se, but they are also the thing that drives interest in a team and keeps their team competitive on the field. All right, I know we got to go to break, right?
Yes.
It's the Andy Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker filling in, and we're going to talk some sports with Ethan coming up. I doubt this is coming up on 97.1 FM Talk.
The tug of war over the Strait of Hormuz ramps up. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump says the U.S. is reimposing a blockade on Iranian shipping, and the U.S. military just announcing that will take effect tomorrow at 4 Eastern.
Recall last week when the Trump administration revoked Iran's license to sell oil. Many were wondering, how would that be enforced? There's only one way, and that's with a return of the naval blockade, and that's what President Trump has ordered today. In addition to the 4 nights of airstrikes over the past week, hitting those targets as Iranian forces continue to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz, the Iranian government says the Strait of Hormuz remains closed and it remains in control of the critical waterway.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson in Tel Aviv, but President Trump accuses Iran of breaking a deal with the U.S., pledging to hit them very hard.
47 years in a row they were pushing people around. They're not pushing us around. We're pushing them around.
He says the U.S. will be the guardian of the strait and charge for safe passage to reimburse the cost of providing security. The president also just posting he'll give a speech on Iran Thursday night at 9 Eastern. The president's latest comments on Iran coming just a short time ago during a White House event highlighting the upcoming Freedom 250 Grand Prix race in D.C. alongside legendary IndyCar Series owner Roger Penske.
We're fortunate to have the most important office in the world give us the green light and then the checkered flag to have this event in August.
The event's part of America 250 celebrations. A deadly shooting earlier today in Maine, spurring anti-ICE protests in the state.
I'm disgusted. This is horrible. I mean, the citizens of this country are literally being gunned down in the street.
The FBI is investigating. The Boston Globe reporting Maine Independent Senator Angus King told reporters the Homeland Security Secretary told him the man shot had been given an order to leave the country and had weaponized his vehicle. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
We have a dry week on our hands. Now, it will be summertime, but it's nothing extreme. Sunshine for the afternoon, 88 tonight. Clear skies, 69 Tuesday, sunny 90. Wednesday, sunny 91. And about 93 degrees and sunny on Thursday and again on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ring.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
For goodness sake, kid, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not there like a sweet pie.
This is the Annie Frey.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. Happy to be with you. I think I have a few dates this week. I'll be back again on Wednesday, which will be nice. I think I'm on Friday as well. I have to check the schedule. But, I think that's fantastic that you guys get to ask me. I guess as long as Annie is not listening, then I think I'll be okay because I said some regrettable things in the last
Did your wife hear you? Did she hear it?
She said, "What?" That's what she said to me. I'm like, "Oh, I know. I already know.
Well,
I already know."
Didn't sound like they kicked you down the stairs, so that seems okay.
No, that's for later. They know I can heal up in between now and Wednesday, so they don't want to leave any evidence next time I'm on camera for the show. The big news I think that happened over the weekend, the one that really shocked me was Lindsey Graham's passing, and that really came out of nowhere. And I wanted to play a couple of clips here, and one of which was President Trump discussing it. He, I think, was on the phone with Lindsey Graham maybe an hour or two before his passing. This is clip number 1.
Well, I don't feel great. He was a great guy, and he was a friend. He would call me all the time. He would just I'd say, stop calling me Lindsey. It was amazing. He just didn't stop. And he was a worker. He was a total workaholic politician. Now, some people don't call that work. Some people call that a lot of talking. But everybody loved him. He was good on the other side. If I had Democrat problems, he could solve them. He was a man of all different abilities, actually. And he was a nice man. He was a great guy. He loved playing golf, loved being outside. He'd play golf with people, and you just liked him.
Do you hear the story that they told on Brian Kilmeade's show? It was Senator Tim Scott, also from South Carolina, was talking about how he invited him to a prayer breakfast. Did you hear that story?
Yeah.
So Tim Scott was on there. And they might have just played a clip. I don't exactly know where it came from, but he said he invited Lindsey Graham to a prayer breakfast, and he said, I'm going to have to paraphrase here, but Lindsey Graham said, if the rapture happened before 10 o'clock, I guess I'm missing it. Sorry, Tim. So 8 o'clock rolls around, and who's the first to walk through the door? Lindsey Graham, to go support his friend Tim Scott. That was the kind of guy Lindsey Graham was. And I love hearing those type of stories, and he's going to be missed. And part of it, too, was who's going to replace him. I think there's going to be a lot of Republicans that are going to try to line up and say, well, I'm going to be a nominee for that seat. But in the interim, President Trump had an idea. This is clip number 2.
President Trump posting on Truth Social, quote, I recommended to Governor Henry McMaster of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham's wonderful sister, Darlene, to serve as interim senator from the great state of South Carolina. This would be a fabulous tribute to Lindsey, who loved her dearly, of course. She and Lindsey both lost their parents at a very young age, 15 months apart. Senator Graham then legally adopted her and took care of her essentially as they were growing up together. Even did the adoption because he wanted his military benefits to go to her in case anything were to happen to him. So you hear President Trump now recommending that his sister, who is left behind now, be the one to fill his seat, at least temporarily. The governor hosting a 4 p.m. press conference later today. More on that when it comes.
Yeah, well, that's a couple hours. Well, I guess 1 hour from here, normally 4 Eastern. So I guess we'll learn more about that coming up. But just really sad. All around, just really sad. So wishing his family and the best. It sounds like it's just his sister, and I guess the people around him, his friends, and it's going to be a big transition. It's going to be weird without him there.
Yeah,
really.
Right now, the Senate is actually coming into session for the first time since he's passed away. Chuck Grassley's speaking.
Okay. Do we want to listen to that at all? Do you think they're talking about him? Maybe.
Yes,
you want to dip in real quick?
Yeah, we can dip in.
Let's take a listen here.
Graham's family, as we all grapple with the loss of the great man. And I think we can show our appreciation for the hard work as just 2 days before he passed, he was in Ukraine meeting with Zelensky, and he was announcing that he was going to move forward with some very important legislation, putting additional sanctions on Russia because of their invasion of Ukraine. And I think we can show our gratitude and appreciation of Senator Graham by moving that legislation forward. I yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.
Well, that was Grassley there. You spoke, right? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. But I think people mentioning that was a bipartisan idea, the sanctions on Russia. So
Yeah.
I think most people are, and that would have enough votes. So that might be a nice little tribute to him in that sense. I was looking at Tim Scott. I didn't realize he was 60. Did you realize he was 60 years old?
Tim Scott?
Yeah, I didn't realize
know.
that. I thought he was younger than that. That kind of surprised me. He'll turn 61 here in September. So that is irrelevant to everything we're talking about. I just was shocked because I looked him up online really quick. And
Yeah.
it's like, 60 years old. So that's something that we're going to hear more of, and I'm sure there'll be more talk about it. Since that had happened over the weekend, you get a lot of the big late night talk shows, especially on Fox. I'm sure they're going to be getting a lot of thoughts and guests on that. So by tomorrow, I'm sure you'll have a lot more clips to play that we can look at it. But just sad with Lindsey Graham passing away. I was kind of surprised by this article, and I didn't realize this. Have you ever heard Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talk about this existential crisis of men unable to reproduce?
I have not heard this.
Well, he's called this a crisis. He said that when they look at testosterone and some of these other indications of what a healthy male would have over a certain lifetime, and I guess it's like declined by 50% over the last couple of decades, and they're calling this decline an existential crisis, and they're working to try to reverse this as proof that modern society is kind of like, I don't know how you put it. They're trying to soften the role of men so they don't think this is a big deal. But when you're talking about repopulating and keeping up with birth rates, this is an absolutely huge deal that they need to deal with. Which, by the way, I think if you sat in a room with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he may convince you and your wife to start trying. He's going to try. Him and Elon Musk would put the pressure on to try to get things going. And you're just thinking to yourself, I kind of like the dual income and no kids. That's kind of a nice thing. So among that, they say scientists, some have disputed the trends that they say sperm counts can hit 0 by 2045. They're saying that's unrealistic. But when you talk about it, they all agree there is a certain decline that's going on. A decrease in testosterone, lower sperm production means bad things for when you're trying to repopulate and trying to have the birth rate. So that's one of the new things, trying to make America healthy again, is part of trying to help men make sure they can also have children. I didn't realize that was a big push by him. I guess it sounds like you haven't really seen that either.
I haven't seen that. I know that there are not that particular aspect of it. I know that there's an issue with declining birth rates. I know that there's an issue with declining testosterone among men. I know that RFK looks at stuff from a health perspective, and he's like, what are we eating? What are we putting into the environment? Are there toxins that are causing this? But also we have declining birth rates because men and women just aren't getting married anymore. They're not getting together anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Here in Michigan, we got that one stomach bug that's going around. You get that in Missouri? You know what I'm talking about?
I know it's in Illinois, the one from the lettuce or whatever, and it's a parasite.
Yeah, it is cyclosporiasis. I've had to say it so many times. I think I'm saying it correctly, but the health department has confirmed more and more cases. I think it's over 2,000 cases now. It gives you explosive diarrhea. And we had a discussion in the newsroom because when I did the story, I talked to our health leader, Dr. Bagdasarian, and we were discussing some of the symptoms and problems with it. And you know what, Dr. Bagdasarian, when we talk about diarrhea and explosive I did it as part of the story, and they said, the discussion was, do people in the morning, when they're eating their cereal, want to hear about the symptoms of this parasite? And I said, you know what? I think it's relevant that people need to know what they're up against if they get this thing. It shows up about a week after you consume something with the cyclospora on it, and you get the cyclosporiasis, and then it says it could last 2 or 3 days, up to a month of explosive diarrhea.
Gosh.
And explosive means, I'm going to just get graphic here because this is a foodborne illness. You're not going to spread it from person to person. You consume it through food. They said in previous instances, it's normally like bagged lettuce, vegetables, sometimes raspberries. They get in between the cracks and you don't clean them up properly. So that's kind of what you're up against. The explosive describes how fast and furious it hits you. It hits you fast, and you just got to go, and there's no holding it in. We're not talking about like let's not get too gross, but you know what I mean. It's just, that explains just how fast it hits you. So that sounds terrible, and a lot of people are like, okay, I guess it's a good thing I don't eat lettuce or anything like that.
See, I told you that salad was bad for you.
Exactly. That's what I've said ever since a kid. Salad's bad for you. So as far as I know, I don't think they've actually determined where it's coming from. Because when I talked to the Bagdasarian, Dr. Bagdasarian, She told me that the problem is when you have 1,000 cases or 2,000 cases of this, you have to have them fill out an extensive survey, and then you have to try to connect the dots, and it's very difficult because you're doing phone surveys, written surveys, and then you're trying to gather all the data, and you might get false leads. But they said every time the doctor finds one of these cases, they take a sample of it, and they basically run it like they would DNA, and then they try to track it specifically to food to see if it matches the same. I'm going to use DNA as an example. It's not called DNA, but it's something else. They see if the certain strain matches, and that's how they tie it up. It takes so much time and so many resources to do that. It's why it's taking so long to pinpoint this sort of thing, even though there's thousands of people getting sick from it right now. You said it's in Illinois, too?
Yeah, there's around 1,000 cases last I saw.
Cyclospora. Yeah, that's some stuff you don't want to mess around with. Luckily, it hasn't hit me yet. As far as I know, everyone has different ways that they deal with it. All right, coming up after the break, we're going to talk some sports with Ethan. This is always a fun segment. Looking forward to that. By the way, if people wanted to vote in the YouTube poll, Brad, where can they go? And what's the poll today?
Well, today's poll is, should the United States put boots on the ground in Iran? And it's just yes or no. And I actually have a couple texts. You can text us at 314-241-9797. Somebody with a 314 number said, not only should we put boots on the ground, we should colonize Iran. There's another one from a 314 saying, no, send all the protesters over there. and then there's also one with a more sobering attitude toward it saying, yes, unfortunately, that we seem to be running out of options. So if you want to text us at 314-241-9797. I've got the text line up, and I can see your text as they come in. And you can also vote on Annie's YouTube page.
All right, that's how you do it. Ethan, Sports and Local, coming up after the break on 97.1 FM Talk.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the home of the Bagel Loan. You can Google the Bagel Loan to find out more information about the new mortgage or the mortgage refinance that you qualify for. Doesn't come with any closing costs. They don't get rolled into the loan. You don't have to revisit with them later. Stewie takes care of them for you. There are no closing costs on a new mortgage, mortgage refinance, or a cash-out mortgage refinance when you work with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. I want you to give my friend a call at 314-324-4440 or text him and get the conversation started right now. I have had many a conversation with Stewie myself, which has resulted in two Bagel Loan refinances over the course of the years that I've been talking to you about him. And tell him what you're trying to do, and he will tell you what's best for you. He does business the right way. He cares about the outcome for you, and he's ready to take your call or to take your text. For the Bagel Loan, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering for Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Morgan & Morgan isn't just an injury firm. It's our family's life work. It's my husband, it's my sons, it's me. When we take a case, we see a family just like ours. $30 billion recovered is something I'm proud of. But what I'm really proud of are the families we stood beside. It's an honor to fight for you when you need our support the most. Morgan & Morgan, for the people and your family.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Annie Frey Show is St. Louis conservative. This segment of The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by All Financial.
Hold up. Check it out.
Ethan's boring local news.
Thank you, Ryan Wiggins. Appreciate your contributions even when you're not here, as always. Hi, Ryan Recker.
How are you?
I'm doing well, just have been refreshing myself on Jurassic Park these past couple of hours. It's been good.
I get it. Okay, just in case we quiz you to make sure you've really seen it. I get it. That's smart.
Yeah, what character did Sam Neill play in Jurassic Park?
The main character.
Who was?
I don't know what his name was. Do you know what his name was?
Yes, it's Dr. Grant.
Okay, I would guarantee that the majority of Americans would not be able to answer that question.
I think I know what tomorrow's poll is.
The St. Louis Cardinals finished off the first half of the 2026 season with a series win over the Atlanta Braves. They did lose in yesterday's game, but they were able to win the first two games of the series, and both of them were in impressive fashion. On Friday night, the Cardinals played baseball for approximately 2 hours and 20 minutes. They stayed and sat in their clubhouse for over 2 hours and 40 minutes because of a ridiculously long rain delay. And I don't know if any of you saw pictures or videos of the state of the field at Busch Stadium. It was like a lake. It was underwater.
Thoroughly impressed with the grounds crew.
I could not believe
like
that they played.
when they put those pictures side by side of before and then after, it's like, I'm sure if you were there, you could tell it had rained, but from the pictures from the press boxes, it just looked like a night ball game, ready to go again.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Very impressive. And the Cardinals ended up winning that game by a 2-1 final. Jimmy Crooks hit a go-ahead solo home run in the bottom of the 8th inning to give St. Louis a lead. Riley O'Brien would lock up the save. On Saturday night, Lars Nootbaar's 3-run home run in the first inning would propel them to a 4-1 victory. Riley O'Brien would also get the save in that one. Matthew Liberatore, very good start. Some momentum being built in the right direction for him. Much needed going into the All-Star break. Yesterday, a little bit of a controversial ending to yesterday's game, a 4-3 loss. Jose Fermin's 2-run single was the most notable part of the game offensively for St. Louis, but the controversy coming in the 9th inning, the Braves had a runner on third with 2 outs in the inning, and, Jojo Romero allegedly hits Michael Harris with a pitch on the forearm, the elbow. A lot of people, going back to the slow motion, were not sold that pitch hit Harris, and what made it even more questionable is that the umpire almost waited to make the call until Harris was already walking down towards first. Ollie Marmol came out. He was not happy, had some choice words. He got ejected, and then the next play, Mason Wynn commits a throwing error, and the Braves take a 4-3 lead, and they would end up winning that ball game, unfortunately. But still, good series. The Cardinals take 4 out of 6 in the season series against the Braves, who are one of the best teams in baseball right now. They finish out the first half of play with a record of 50-45, 5 games above the 500 mark. And if you would have asked anyone in baseball, anyone in St. Louis, that they would be 5 games above 500 going into the Midsummer Classic break, I think that they would have been pleasantly surprised considering most of the season total over-under on wins was set around between 68 and 70 wins. So pretty impressive what St. Louis has been able to do here in the first half of the season. They currently are one game back of the third wild card spot behind the Miami Marlins. So, we'll see if they remain in the mix for the postseason or not, but they are right now, which I think you certainly have to be happy about if you are a Cardinals fan.
That's awesome. Yeah, they've exceeded and smashed expectations. Maybe smash is the wrong word, but they've definitely exceeded expectations compared to the start of the year.
Yeah.
Which is great for fans because you always want something to root for, and there's a lot that you could have hope for with this club. And, whenever you get a club that's scrappy and they find a way to win, that is a great combination for a postseason run.
It absolutely is, and it's being reflected in the All-Star festivities. St. Louis will have several players being represented. First off, Ali Marmol will be a part of Dave Roberts' staff, his coaching staff for the game. Those two are good friends, and certainly it's telling in Marmol being a part of the staff, so that's pretty cool. And then the Cardinals' 3 players being represented, Jordan Walker most notably, and then Ivan Herrera and Riley O'Brien as well. Herrera was a replacement for Shohei Ohtani, who is not going to be playing in the game due to an injury, and then Riley O'Brien was a replacement as well. Last I checked, was tied for the NL lead with 24 saves. I'm not sure if he still is, but near the very top. Jordan Walker will be competing in the Home Run Derby tonight.
Hooray!
22 home runs is a career high for him already, and we've only reached the All-Star break, which is pretty darn impressive. Walker also leads all of baseball with 74 runs batted in. First All-Star selection for him. And like I said, he will be competing in the Home Run Derby tonight. First Cardinal since Albert Pujols did it in 2022. And the format will be different than it has been the last couple of years, going back to how it used to be, where it's more swings-based than it is time-based. The last couple of years, it's like, okay, you got 4 minutes, go. And it's just swing as many times as you can. Now, in the first round, I believe they're going to have 20 swings. So they're going to be able to take as many pitches as they want. It does not, in the past, when it was swing-based, it was, okay, you get 10 outs, and it's how many home runs can you hit, but you can swing whenever you want. Now it's just, you have 20 swings, how many home runs can you hit in those 20 swings? Yes.
Okay.
And then it'll be 15 swings for the next round, so it'll continue to decrease. So it'll be all 8 compete, and then a semifinal, and then a final.
So the most a player could hit is 20 home runs.
I believe so, yes. I believe that is the format.
Yes.
So the game, or the Home Run Derby is on Netflix tonight, just a heads up. So if you don't have Netflix, then go over to a buddy's house or pay the $9 or whatever it costs to have it for the month. But he's joined by former Cardinal Wilson Contreras, as well as Royals outfielder Jack Caglione, Philly stars Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, Junior Caminero from the Rays, as some of the other notables that are going to be competing in the Home Run Derby. So that should be fun tonight. I'm very much so looking forward to that.
Man, you remember, this is before everyone's time here, they used to do Home Run Derby on like Classic Sports. Do you remember that network?
I remember seeing it on there. It was like from the 60s and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was black and white. You get like Mickey Mantle up there, or, you get some of these old sluggers, and they do little interviews after. Man, I don't know what it was. That was fun to watch. All-Star games, they have to find ways to bring fans back. Like in the NHL, they said we're going to do basically the 4 continents or something like that. So NBA, they wanted to try to do something in the NBA. Baseball has tried a few things. There's got to be something more exciting for baseball out there. Home Run Derby's fun, but I feel like all these other leagues have just upped their all-star games in the recent years.
It's funny.
Major League Baseball has not.
I was just talking to Daniel, who is associate producing today with Wiggins being out, and I actually said that I think that baseball's all-star game is by far the best of all 4 major sports. And that's not to say that it is amazing, but the Pro Bowl's a joke. The dunk contest used to be one of the best things in sports. Now nobody knows who competes in the dunk contest. The NHL used to have the skills competition, which was really cool. They've replaced, like, the Four Nations Face-Off was a great replacement a couple years ago. The Olympics was amazing, but those aren't going to be every year. Now it's just going to be, I think that they're going to have the All-Star game every other year, and it'll balance out with the World Hockey Championships and the Olympics. So that's good. But as far as just All-Star game itself, the NHL doesn't do it very well with the 3-on-3 stuff. So I think that baseball actually does the All-Star game best, and that isn't to say that there isn't a problem. These past couple of years, there's been a lot of players opting out of playing in the All-Star game. Some of the best pitchers aren't going to even be here this weekend or this week for the All-Star game, which really sucks.
Yeah, the NHL was at its best when it was Eastern Conference versus Western Conference 5-on-5, you know. It was a game, but it was conference-based, and you just had the best All-Stars from each conference. Of course, they did, you know, North America versus the world for a while, but it was still a 5-on-5. The 3-on-3 thing where they play for a period, that just doesn't do it. It's like a minuscule mini tournament. That's dumb.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of things that need to fix, but the biggest shame is the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl used to be so awesome.
Oh, it's terrible.
And now it's like two-hand touch, and no one cares. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change. I think it's just the direction.
It's
In
too
fact,
much money.
Eventually, I think that it wouldn't surprise me if some of this stuff is just completely gone. If they just don't do it.
These players have to risk too much for nothing outside of pride of playing.
Well, there used to be that, and then, you know, money incentive used to actually matter, but now all these guys make so much money that it doesn't even matter. So that's a part of it as well. But it was also, you know, some of the All-Star festivities were beginning this weekend. The last thing here, the MLB draft and the futures game already occurred. Liam Doyle and Reniel Rodriguez, the Cardinals' two prospects, both competed in that. Doyle had an inning pitched with 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, and then the Cardinals had the most picks in the top 100 of this weekend's MLB draft. They are being very, very highly graded by a lot of prospect and draft experts.
Good.
So, you know, we've talked about how, you know, the Cardinals used to be very good at bringing up homegrown talent, and they kind of lost that for several years there. Well, they're getting back to that. Their first-round pick, Trevor Condon, a Georgia high school outfielder, he was the 13th overall pick. So that's another guy that the Cardinals will be adding to their pedigree of young prospects. So be keeping an eye out on that name. He's pretty young, so it's going to take some time for him to develop. But the last Georgia high school prep BAP that the Cardinals took in the first round, you may recognize the name Jordan Walker. So you know, we'll see what happens there in a couple of, in a few years from now. But exciting to see the Cardinals have another really solid MLB draft.
All right, one last question though. At this All-Star game, will there be tarps off?
Oh, it would not surprise me
There
at all.
had better be.
It's just been going on so much around baseball that it would not surprise me at all if it went tarps off at some point in the ballpark.
I still
Cardinals, they started it.
They did, yeah.
I still like watching, like I've been to a couple games in the past month, and I still like watching that it'll start out kind of small, but it just grows as the game goes on, regardless of how the game's going.
I can't believe that it is still going as strong as it is with how hot it has been for some of these games. You got day games, and you got a couple of people that will be there every game, and you know they'll do themes out there, or they'll do paint, like chest paint and stuff. So like they've done a really good job with it. It's been really fun. And it doesn't happen if the Cardinals aren't willing to, you know, give out a bunch of free tickets too for people to come in and just do it and have fun. It's been a good atmosphere at the ballpark this summer, that's for sure.
All right. Well, that is Ethan Sports and Local. Do you have to read a sponsor line here? Do we do that?
It's sponsored by All Financial, but I think it was at the beginning. But
okay, good. Just making
sure. Thank you, All Financial.
They're awesome to sponsor this. Thank you, Ethan. Good to hear from you.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show, 97.1.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com is the website. I want to talk to you about a system called polyjacking that they use to even out, level out, and get rid of that hazardous, uneven concrete that you have in your walkway, your patio, at home, at work, at church. You need to get this taken care of. You don't want that liability to be existing while people, friends, family, heck, you are walking on that concrete from square to square, and there's that one spot where it's sunk and it's caused a trip hazard. So here's what they do. In a day, they can fix that uneven concrete with a system called polyjacking. They take a polyurethane foam, inject it under the concrete to raise it up and level it out, and they put a 5-year warranty on there to back it. 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. And talk to Matt Hayes at Home Shield Foundation Repair about getting your uneven concrete taken care of once and for all. 314-271-9900. Online at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
The Second World War is the largest event in human history.
A 20-part series with Tom Hanks.
No part of the globe was untouched. No life unchanged.
Experience the ultimate account of World War II.
Every single person had a story. These are the stories that make us who we are.
Listen to World War II with Tom Hanks on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Morgan & Morgan isn't just an injury firm. It's our family's life work. It's my husband, it's my sons, it's me. When we take a case, we see a family just like ours. $30 billion recovered is something I'm proud of. But what I'm really proud of are the families we stood beside. It's an honor to fight for you when you need our support the most. Morgan & Morgan, for the people and your family.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know, we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 also kill majority rule?
Yup. Creates minority rule, where just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I've no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Pay 4 buttons or inch per care governance.
If you like that comfortable setting to hang out where people know your name, check out Lit Cigar Lounge. My friends at Lit Cigar Lounge are fantastic. Brian and Dana and Andrew and Charlie and Nick and all of them down there are going to get to know you by name because it is a family-run business in the Chesterfield Valley in the district. They've got an extensive selection of bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails and some of the best hand-rolled cigars from around the world. Check them out at the district or go online to litstl.com.
Today's YouTube live chat poll, it's just a simple yes or no question. Should the United States put boots on the ground in Iran? I feel like we've asked this before, but now the war's progressed. We had a peace deal that wasn't a peace deal, and now we're back to shooting at one another. So we want to know what you think. Should we put boots on the ground in Iran? And so I've got a couple texts here. One says, yes, we need to cover the entire country of Iran and make sure we find all the hidden underground storage facilities that missiles and drones are in. So that person is advocating for sending boots on the ground to find those things and destroy them. Another person said, yes, Iran needs a reality check. I've got a comment here from Chris on our YouTube page. He said, no, I don't think we need to put boots on the ground. Personally, I don't even think that that's even a thing in today's world. So he's saying that we don't need to have even boots on the ground for any war. So the time right now, well, the question is should we put boots on the ground? You can text us at 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. Let us know what you think. You still got time to vote in the poll. The time is 2:38, and this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
250 years of capitalism, private ownership, and rugged individualism. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
And welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker. And I saw that the president will be addressing the nation tonight. That's going to be a pretty big primetime address, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. President Donald Trump said he would make a primetime address to the nation Thursday in an announcement that comes amid a major flare-up of hostilities with Iran. So while the subject of the speech was not revealed, the White House did not immediately respond to requested details. I guess we'll find what that is about. What is on primetime TV tonight? Because whenever there's a address and it messes with Big Brother, my wife gets very upset. So she's hoping. There's times where the president has done a live address and Survivor's on. Oh man, the backlash online if you push Survivor. I think one time it was even the season finale was the live show. They pushed a primetime speech, and I'll tell you what, the Survivor fans were not happy. So I think tonight, Monday night, I think you're safe. I don't think there's Big Brother.
Home
I don't
Run
think
Derby?
there's Survivor. None of that. Home Run Derby's tonight. What time does that start?
I think Ethan said 8.
Okay, so same time, roughly. I wonder how they're going to get around that. Do you think who's is broadcasting? Is it a Fox? Do they do baseball? I wonder who's the broadcaster.
I think it is Fox that's doing the All-Star game this year.
I wonder if they're going to have to push it back until after. Do you think that I haven't really seen any announcement from Major League Baseball? I guess we'll find out. That's a bummer for them, right? They make this big game and they have to cater. Of course, you're not going to miss the president's speech. So Disney's live action Moana
Netflix, and
crashed.
it's at 7.
Wait, it's on Netflix tonight?
Yes, yeah, it's on Netflix.
No conflict then. That's a bummer. I hate when streaming services have things like that. That's so stupid. It's out of their lane, and you're taking away a lot of fans. You know what they brought back here to Detroit? They have the Detroit Pistons, the NBA basketball team, and they decided to put all the games on broadcast television, over-the-air, bunny-ear broadcast television.
Really?
They're doing it back like they used to, and it's going to be on TV 20. You can watch every game on there this upcoming season. How cool is that?
That's crazy.
No worrying about streaming services, if you're going to have the rights to it or not. That's going to be the best. Disney's live-action Moana crashes, underwhelming box office totals from over the weekend. The movie cost about $250 million to produce. It earned $43 million from ticket sales in the U.S. and Canada, according to studio estimates. That's not great for a rock movie. That's also not great for a Disney movie. Do you think maybe this is the sign they needed to wake up and realize people don't want you to remake these movies? They don't want this. Moana just came out not long ago. I don't know why they're remaking it from already.
Yeah. Hard to say.
Let's see,
but
currently 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, this remake. That hurts, right? That really hurts. What about this Christopher Nolan movie with The Odyssey? Have you guys talked about that?
we talked about it a long time ago, while it was still like before any previews had dropped or anything, any trailers or anything like that had dropped.
Yeah. Christopher Nolan shrugs off the casting decisions made for The Odyssey, which is in theaters this week, July 17th, which is Friday. Now, Christopher Nolan is known for putting together some fantastic movies. Most recently, he did Oppenheimer, which was really good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people learned some things from that movie. So let's do The Odyssey. Let's give him a bigger budget. So when they started to announce the actors that were involved in the project, you realized, I think I see a theme here, which is we're going to take something and purposely make it as diverse as possible, even when it contradicts with the material that they're sourcing this movie from. And Christopher Nolan had said that, hey, keep in mind, I did Batman. I got a fair share of criticisms there. I know how to handle criticism when it's levied against one of your projects. So he says he shrugged it off, and he's not worried about it. Do you think that if this is just online people upset, or do you think people are genuinely upset they're not going to go see it?
I think that there are people that are genuinely upset, and they're not going to go see it. I actually started looking into it because I wanted to see what is the deal here. What are we, because whenever it was first announced and it had an all-star cast and stuff like that, some people were like, oh, this could be really, really good because Christopher Nolan, the Dark Knight series, all of this other stuff, and Oppenheimer, he's a great director, all that other stuff. But then people started looking into, okay, so the casting decisions are suspect for some people.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that, for me, that really gives me pause is the author of the translation of the Odyssey that he's using. It's a fairly recent translation. It's the first version of that story that has been translated by a female, and she has some very feminist points of views, and so her translation has been criticized by other scholars because she takes liberties and puts a feminist slant to it. And to me, I'm not really interested in seeing a feminist version of the Odyssey. I want to see
That's the version?
Yeah, that's the book that he used. I forget her name. I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago I could have told you that, but I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not interested. Maybe I'll watch it when it comes out on Netflix or Prime or wherever it ends up on. But I'm not going to go to the theater and watch it.
Me too.
I'm over
Definitely not going to. Did you read the Odyssey in high school? When do you normally read it? I think it's high school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wherever it is, the assigned reading, and it's like, wow, this is good. Might have even been before high school. I just don't remember, but. I remember going through that thinking, this is really cool. Like, this is exciting. This gives you something to enjoy when it comes to reading. You're like, wow, I guess books can be cool, whatever the reading assignment may be. To feel that they're going to retranslate it with a feminist twist is, again, kind of like in the same vein of them trying to basically DEI the actors and actresses into it. It checks. So... This is one of those movies. Was excited at first with the idea of it. Then you was like, I'm not so excited. This will not be a movie theater go. It would have to be free on streaming. I'm not going to pay for it, and I would easily walk away from it if I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I don't understand why that has to be done. Just let great stories be great stories, and the Iliad and the Odyssey stands on its own as a great story. In history. It is one of history's greatest stories. We don't need to put a message in it. You don't just let the story be a story. And that's where, you talked about Moana, you talked, Disney
like Animal
struggling.
Farm is a great example too.
And they messed with that one. They messagized that one as well.
They messed with Animal Farm, yeah.
Just let the story be the story. You know what people want from movies? They want to be entertained. They want a good story. And you're taking one of the greatest stories and you're like, this isn't good enough the way it is. We have to push this idea or this agenda, whatever it is in it. No, just tell the story the way Homer wanted it to be told.
Yeah, this is what you got to do. Tell your own story if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hijack someone else's and try to retrofit it into your own type of wokeness. Tell your own story, make it unique, make it original, and then you'll know if that's what people want or not. Now you're going to piggyback onto something that people already know, and you're going to make it different than what they expect in a negative way, and then people are going to leave disappointed, and you're going to say, well, you're the one that's stupid for not liking it. That's how this works in Hollywood, and I think people are tired of it, and that's why you're seeing this massive backlash. All right, I know we got to go to break. We're going to get the poll results coming up after the break. Is that right? That's pretty exciting. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Frey. One more segment here on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is a special place, but not by accident. Learn our backstory, and you'll even love America more. Celebrating America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk, I'm Brian Kilmeade.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales. And voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. Taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder, but our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
Things in Washington, D.C. may seem unsettled at times by their lack of progress, but one department in the U.S. government is progressing. That is the IRS. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS is in full function to collect on unpaid taxes. If you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and get it resolved. Don't think the government is too busy to focus on my issues. Too many of my clients thought the same. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Lance Story Law Firm. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Or call 314-260-6120 or visit LandStoryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you've been told that you need a new heating and cooling system for your home, and if you've gotten prices or you're going to get prices, call me. Try to stay away from the word high efficiency or efficiency. If you replace your system now and it's 12, 15, or 20 years old, you are greatly improving the efficiency just by replacing the old, inefficient unit. Do not be fooled. If you want a common sense approach and you just want your house cooled, I will help you. If you're good with that, call me. One easy number. It's Missouri and Illinois. The easiest of numbers, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back one more time to the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker. Guess if you want to find me online at Ryan Recker, Ryan Reck Radio, things like that. We'll have the poll question results coming up here in just a few minutes. Before we do that, I saw the New York Post did a story about Mick Jagger. Do you have strong opinions about Mick Jagger?
No.
Rolling Stones fame?
No.
Not really. So growing up, I listened to Rolling Stones. I didn't listen to the Beatles. And then, of course, everyone has great love and respect for Beatles music.
Not everybody.
I respect them. I just don't listen to them like other people listen to them. Like it's the best. I preferred the Rolling Stones over the Beatles myself.
I would say that I do too.
So, but then again, I don't really listen to that as much or at all anymore. This is just when I was younger. But I saw the story about Mick Jagger. The forever young Mick Jagger says fans don't come to concerts to hear political lectures in the wake of Bruce Springsteen's on-stage speeches targeting Donald Trump. So Rolling Stones frontman did an interview with the New York Times podcast and said that, hey, these people that are going to concerts and trying to spout politics, they don't want that, man. Why are you doing it? They don't want that.
Correct.
Good for Mick Jagger. I think that's it.
It's the same thing as the movies. You don't go there to get a message. You go there to be entertained. Play the song. We like your song. That's what we like about you.
Yeah. So here's what Mick Jagger said. The bottom line of my thing really is that my job is the live music world is for those people to come is to have the best time they possibly can for 2 hours or whatever it is to forget about all their problems and the problems of the world and their mortgages and whatever, just to give them the best time that they can have. He's 82 years old, still struts out on stage, and he gets it. What a bummer, Bruce Springsteen and some of these people going out there. And I need to make this into everybody hates Trump tonight rally. And what a downer that garbage is from Bruce Springsteen. So good for Mick Jagger. He understands it.
Yeah.
He just wants everyone to have a good time.
He's like, hey, we're entertainers. We're here to entertain. Let's do entertaining things. We're not lobbyists. We're not any of this. We're just entertainers. Let's go have fun.
Yeah, go play at a Kamala rally next time she's running for office again, and go get paid, I guess, 10 times the regular amount.
So much
and
money.
Your check will bounce from the Democratic National Committee. All right, I know we're running late, so let's look at the poll results. How do they roll out?
Yeah. So Ryan, do you have a thought on this one? Should the U.S. put boots on the ground in Iran?
No, I think this is going to be like 90-10, 90 no,
okay.
10 yes.
And you would be a no.
I'd be a no.
Yeah, so I would be a yes, but only like Karg Island. I would be interested in them taking Karg Island. That's what I would be okay with. Outside of that, I'm not looking for a full-scale invasion. But
you mean just basically helping with the shipments coming in?
Right,
like that?
Right. Well,
okay.
That and taking that resource away from Iran, then you would have control on both sides of the strait at the narrowest points.
Okay.
So with our votes in, it is, again, it's overwhelming. 64% saying no, with 36% saying yes. And I think since the last time we played this, or last time we ran this poll, that number of yes has actually gone up a tick. Not a lot, but it is.
Wow.
It creeped up. So
that actually surprises me. I thought this would be 90% no, 10% yes, but 30-some percent saying yes is actually a lot higher than I thought it would be. So. Okay, that's a good poll question. Good comments came in today, I'm guessing, through the text line, things like that.
Yep, lots of good comments came in through that. We had some on there, and again, it reflected what we saw here. About 64% of them, 60-ish% saying that saying no, don't do it, but then the other one saying yeah, and they had some good reasons for it. So
yeah, that's good. Well, I'll be back again, I think, Wednesday and Friday. So a few extra days we get to spend here on the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. If you want to find me online on Twitter at Ryan Recker, enjoy the rest of your day. And don't forget the president's speaking tonight, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. I'm sure he'll be talking about exactly what we were just talking about there. Have a great day.